would have expected it. Chelsea Football Club 3, Aston Villa 1, or shall I say it the other way around? Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3, Enzo Fernandez masterclass, Caicedo performing. What a shock when you play them closer to each other, right? All of a sudden. Lots to get into in regards to Chelsea and their performance yesterday. One that has definitely caught us off guard. No one expected us to perform the way in the manner that we did yesterday, but we got it done. And the performance was good. The performance was very good against an Aston Villa team who are in the top 4 of the Premier League at the moment as well. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. So lots to get into, guys. Smash the likes. Share it out. Up the Chelsea. Let's cue that intro. People, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another match reaction. Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3, Chelsea Football Club through to the quarterfinals against Leeds, which is going to be a tasty game. And let's talk about the game. There's lots to get into, lots for us to delve into, share and talk about as well. What I need you guys to do right now is tap the screens and share it out, guys. Tap the screens and share it out. It just goes to show, really, that the performance is in the team, right? And when you play them in a system where they can actually fully be well drilled, understand what their roles, playing more comfortably in roles as well, that you get the performance that you got yesterday. And it's all that we've been really screaming on about, right? We've been very questionable with Pochettino the last couple of games of how he set us up. And you could clearly see that the players were suffering. It wasn't working. We were struggling to build up play. And it was just little things that I keep saying, like I've been saying for the last God knows how many games now, that needed to be done to improve the system. And he tweaked it, and he did tweak it, and you could see that he tweaked it, and it worked. And listen, look, players' performance is massive because they all turn up yesterday. It is key that they are a lot more, they have to be a lot more consistent with, with how they performed yesterday, and that's key. Look, don't get me wrong, it doesn't matter what system you play. If you're not consistent, if you're not on your game, if the performance levels are not there, the system's not going to work. And that's something that they have to improve in themselves. That's something we need to understand with these players. They need to be consistent. As Malagusto said yesterday, we need to keep pushing forward. But the system aided the performance of the players because they were comfortable. There was an understanding. There was a reading. Everyone felt more like they could play to the levels that they know that they can play as well. And they're very young. They are talented players. And when I looked at the formation originally, when it first came out, I feared it because I saw Palmer in the false 9 again. I thought he was going to play the usual 4-3-3 with Caicedo isolated and the two of Gallagher and Enzo in front, moving well forward on the pitch. And it didn't really happen. It was different. It was different, but we still moved forward together on the transitions. It was more about the build-up play, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. There's something that I've got to go through as well, which we'll talk about. But listen, good performance. Doesn't obviously put him out of the clear at the moment, because we need to see if he can contain. Number one, see if he can stick to what we've seen in terms of system, but also number two, players' performances have to be at that level as well. So it's a bit of everything. We've got Palace on Monday. I want to see if he sticks to what he done at Villa, rather than changing it in any way. But there is players that we still need to include in that system that need to start for me. And Nkunku's one that we need to get in the team, in my opinion, for us to be really firing up front as well. So yeah, it's definitely something we'll look into. I'm lagging. I think no one's saying it. It doesn't. My Wi-Fi is not. It might be you, bro. It might be you, because my Wi-Fi seems to be saying it's all right. Yes, Leo, how are you? Cool boy, welcome, Surfs. Enzo says, Enzo Dagger. My star boy. That's what I'm going to say. Matty, what you saying? I still can't believe it. I think Villa needs to do some alcohol testing. Enzo, take a bow. Well, up the Chelsea, what a win. I wish we could use this momentum, but it's never ending all day at Chelsea. That's true as well. Gallagher and Palmer was key to yesterday's match, but they cut all the passing lines to Douglas and Kamara. It was perfect. It was, but we've also seen us play this system and us be very ineffective with it. And I feel that in certain games with this system, I don't think you need to have a Gallagher. But we'll obviously talk about that a bit later. Still, I think when you're playing a low block at home and you're going to stick to this system, you could maybe, you could throw Nkunku in with Palmer, drop Palmer a bit deeper into the 10 row where it's more comfortable. And that will give us even more creativity and spark and danger, in my opinion, in the offensive half. But we'll talk about that all in a bit. Agreed, consistency is key. Looking forward, we need to build on this. This is the big thing, right, Dog? We need to build on it. Chelsea need to build on what they've been doing right now. We need to be moving forward with better performances. Guys, there's nearly over 75 of you here. Do me a favor, though. Make sure you hit the likes. Make sure you hit the likes. Let's get the likes up as much as we can. Are you Poch in again? I was never Poch out and I was never Poch in. I'm Poch on the edge at the moment. I'm Poch. I'm like, this is a Poch. That's the issue. I was more get on my way to after what he was seeing being out because he wasn't changing anything. And obviously, one game doesn't change it for me in any instance. I am still on him because I want to see how he moves forward with the team and what he does with it. But yeah, no, it's you. Am I that bad? Laggy a bit, yeah. Just keep freezing, not your sound, like your picture. Does it? I don't know why it seems to be. It says it's clear my side. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me have a look. 1 second. Maybe because I've got too many connections going on now. Here, Enzo is here to stay. What a celebration. Corny guy, big up to you. Big up Undertaker CFC. Let me know when we get to the Silva and Sterling being dropped argument because that conversation is long overdue. Listen, Thiago Silva Thiago Silva has, and for me, has always been one of our best defender, in my opinion, for a while. Should he be playing every game? No. But has that been the case for the last 2 to 3 seasons? Yes. Yes. Should we start looking to maybe not include him in as many games like we did yesterday? Yeah. But do I think he will still play games? Of course. But this is the thing. We do need to move past Thiago Silva because he's going next season. We do need to start playing without him. So Disassi, who I thought was very good yesterday, Badia Shield, who again gets an injury, or Colwill comes in, then, it's definitely worth. You see good now. You see, yeah. I just took my Wi-Fi settings down a bit. All right. Nearly 100 people in there. Big up to you, Silvers. Has to be allowed a break. Exactly. Like, you can't be playing him all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think so as well. And this is the key thing. It really does, for me, lay down and around the opposition that we're up against. And I know that he lacks the pace. Don't get me wrong. So, if Badiashile ain't playing, maybe a Colwill or Disassi, but again, we've not seen enough of it. We need to start seeing a solid back four with fullbacks. And yesterday we had flowing fullbacks, something that I thought would work naturally in this four at the back system, rather than having 3 centre backs and 1 fullback. This is what I wanted to see. Fullbacks of Gusto, who has played absolutely great, by the way. Chuo on the other side as well. Poch is lucky, is what So says. Big up, Matty. How are you? Jem, we've been here before. Don't get too excited. I mean, Skills, I'm not really getting excited, bro. I'm just talking about the game, bro. Am I allowed to talk about the game? We still won and we still dominated the team in the top 4 quite comfortably. And it goes to show that we have got it in us. And let's be serious. Enzo and Caicedo, let's be serious. Like I said to you guys, I've been saying for a long time, when you start playing them a lot closer to each other, look what happens. Yes, Jay Anderson, what we saying? All right, let's get into some bits, guys. I've got some bits to go through anyway. So let's jump in straight into with Vince's comment. So Vince's comment was on TalkSport, and it's Simon Jordan, someone that I don't really listen to very much, but when he comes out with a semi-nice comment, I would like to read upon them. Simon Jordan on Chelsea's performance against Villa, they got it in their locker right clearly. They are playing against an Aston Villa that are a very good side and very formidable at home, and put up a pretty much their they pretty much had their full strength side out, Villa, by the way. Chelsea bashed them up. Yeah, Chelsea outplayed them. It just shows you that within reason, Chelsea have the capabilities. We do have the capabilities. The issue is, and will always be at the moment, and it probably goes down to having so many young players, is the lack of consistency in their performances, and also the lack of the manager who's meant to be our experienced manager, and I hope he learns from this now moving forward, changing systems too much, complacent, playing players not in their natural positions, moving them slightly. And like I said, it's the there's not much that changed yesterday in terms of how we looked, really and truly. Off the ball, yes. But what we did very well in yesterday's game was just made sure that we were a lot closer to each other off the ball. We wasn't leaving Caicedo on his own in the middle of the pitch, 20 yards away from Enzo, which means that every time we built up from the back and the ball got played into Caicedo, he didn't have to beat one or two men that were hunting him down before he could actually find a pass. Enzo took a drop. You know, the defense received the ball. They had better options, which means the defense was more comfortable playing out. The fullbacks pushed up the pitch because they gave us natural width. It pulled the centre midfielders of the opposition aside as well, which means that we didn't get caught in the middle. It caused Aston Villa all problems. It really did. And then we moved together through phase 2 and phase 3. Enzo would receive the ball, he would try and find a Jackson. Sometimes he'd just drive through the middle and played it into Gallagher or whatever. And then you'd find us moving forward. And then even the key thing with it was Caicedo was following the movement of that. And they wasn't that far apart from each other at all times. And that's what I'm trying to get clear to people. Like, it was just a very good all-round move forward. Same lineup for next is what we're expecting. Probably, I want to see Nkunku in the team. I'll be honest with you. We have to find a way to get Nkunku, a killer Nkunku, in this system. And I think it's quite easy. It's just that you're going to have to take Gallagher out of the team. You're going to have to take Gallagher out of the team. Let's be serious. Gallagher's going to have to hold bench. Palmer's going to have to drop in into the Gallagher position in like the 10 / role. And then Nkunku's going to have to either lead the line or just rotate with Jackson. Rotate Jackson off the left, rotating with Nkunku. So if he runs in front of him, Nkunku can drop off the left and vice versa or whatever. Like, having that switch and mix is going to give defenders problems, but we need to get him in the team. We have to, because he will bang goals, man. He will bang goals for us much more easier. Consistency is needed, Adrian, and I agree. Right, guys, nearly over 100 of you in here already. Let's keep going with the likes. Let's get the likes up, guys. We're going to move on from the next things. We've got a couple of things to go through as well. And we're going to jump in the comments from Maurizio Pochettino on Chelsea, and it starts with the Fabrizio comment here. Pochettino, tonight we were united. We fight for each other. We fight for our fans. We fight for the badge. We fight for the coaching staff all together. This was maybe the best performance of the season so far. Listen, I'm going to have to say it as it is. He managed to get them set up in a way where they were more comfortable and they played for him. In that game yesterday, they could have easily just switched off. Let's be serious. And just got him sacked. Potentially, if they really didn't like the way he works or whatever's going on behind the scenes, which we've been told there must be some bits and bobs. But yesterday they didn't. They all pulled together. They all put in a performance. They obviously saved his ass as well. Don't get me wrong, but he tactically got it spot on yesterday. He just kept it fucking simple. Like, he didn't make it hard for himself like he usually does. He played with natural fullbacks again. He played the two centre-backs. He put Enzo and Caicedo closer to each other, which is what we've been crying about, because how we've been losing games in the past couple of games is why. Guess what? We have no midfield. And all of a sudden, we had a midfield against a very good Aston Villa midfield, and they couldn't get close to us. And if they did, it was quick 1-2s in and around, and we was out of the press of the Aston Villa team. And they just couldn't deal with it. And then on top of that, you had Gusto and Chilwell holding the lines, and it worked. He needs to stick with it. He needs to stick with a system. He has to stick with this. But don't... And all the little tweaks that he made yesterday, which made it look better, along with good player performance because they were happier in their roles, has to follow through. He can't go into Palace on Monday and go, okay, Colwell, you're left back, Gusto at right back. Yeah, Enzo, Caicedo, but Enzo, I want you further up the pitch again next to Gallagher. Caicedo can come out of it, Sterling on the left, whoever on the right, Jackson, you up front today. Because there's no fluidity. There's going to be... The chemistry is so key. Chemistry is so key. That's what he's got to do. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, he needs to stick to something that he knows he can use and then move on. Yeah, David, I will do, bro. I will do. Do you know what? I haven't had David in for a while. I've not had David in for a while. So we'll have David join me today. We'll get a little chat to have, and then we'll get the panel in soon as well. So, yeah, very good. Very, very good. And then we go to what was different. What was different? Because I think the majority of us know what it was. Some of us still maybe disagree. And obviously, I had a long conversation with Couch last night who felt that our systems wasn't different, that there wasn't much different. It was just that the players' performances were better. I agree. The players' performances were better, but there was a difference. And it was a big difference in my eye because we were more in control. And it goes to show here, what is the big difference with us off the ball here? And we did this against Arsenal. It's not like we haven't done this before. We have. It's just that we did it and then he just changed it. And this is his problem. He won't stick to this. He'll go and change it to something else. And he'll go and change it to something else. And something else. Look at the defence in a row. Look at the midfield. And look at the wingers tucking into the midfield. Okay. Look how close Enzo and Caicedo are, which is the big key. All right. And then look at the space between the midfield and a defence. Every time that we was out of possession, they closed the space in between them. In games where we've lost, it was either because we've lost the ball from the back or Caicedo's been caught off the ball in the middle, and it's because the gaps between the midfield, defence, and then the two midfielders that were meant to be next to Caicedo, or one of them at least, is at least 20 yards plus away from each other. It was a mess. Quite honest with you, it was just a mess. Now this is a better drilled team. They're not. Look again. Villa are trying to stretch us out, right? Villa are trying to stretch us out, and if you look at how we're playing, it's very narrow with the 4 and the 4. But why we've done that is to stop them playing through the middle, which is where we've been caught many times in the past. Force them to go out the wing, which means Gusto has to come across and deal with the ball. But look at the run of Madueke already, and this is the difference. They do have to work harder in this system. The wing backs have to work harder. Sterling, again, in previous games, especially at home against Wolves, how many times did he allow his right back to run past him and into him, and they actually scored from it? They have to work. The team has to work to the system. They have to. But this is how he's trying to play it. And as long as they're all on the same... As long as forward, big up to you. As long as they're all on the same wavelengths as each other, where Madueke drops into the Gusto position, Gusto then goes wide to close the ball, and vice versa, like they did yesterday. As long as they can continue that going forward, and I want to see it progressively moving forward against Palace on Monday, and then we've got a hard run. There's Man City's, there's Newcastle's, I think Tottenham's in there. There's a lot of games in there that are very hard to play with. Yeah, stick to a system though. Stick to it. Play it. Well, no, we're not pressing. At this moment in time off the ball, we don't need to press. We don't need to press. We're 2-0 up. We've took a step back. We're not making any... I keep making it clear to people. We're making sure there's no spaces between the defence and midfield. That's a small margin of space. The midfielders and the wingers are tucking in. There's a line. The fullbacks are tucking in. There's a line. They're kind of conceding the widths, but that's fine because Gusto can come and follow it, providing whoever's playing on each side tucks in. All right, even over here, look, Matty Cash is here. So it's different. It's completely different off the ball than what I saw against Wolves at home, Liverpool away. It's just, for me, it's completely different structurally. The difference is they need to press. The difference really and truly is they pressed at the right times. And that's the thing. When they were up the pitch and they had the ball, they went together. And this is the thing. It was the flow together. Off the ball, press, but they pressed in numbers, win quickly. But we still had each other in the right areas. As before, 2 midfielders up front. You beat them 2. You leave Caicedo on his own. 2 midfielders against him. Moving forward through the middle of the midfield, wingers on each side pushing forward. One of our full-backs would have been halfway up the pitch, which means one of our centre-backs would have been dragged to the left. And it's a mess. This is what I'm trying to get at. This is the difference. And I know it sounds like I'm going very in deep I am, but it's because the way I see things. But that's the difference in how we were playing. You know, that's the difference in how we were going to play, and that's it really for me. You know, and then you look at even this. Now, the difference in this. Look how close Caicedo, Enzo, and even I think that's Gallagher. Is it? That's dropped in at this point off the ball again. We're tucked in. Again, all right, we've gone to a 5 at the back this time. 3 midfielders. All right, they're maybe a little bit too close to each other at this point, but they're not halfway up here. They're not halfway up here, this, that, and whatever. The space is, you know, they're closing the space better. And having Enzo and Caicedo a lot closer was a benefit to us. And what I want to see for us going into the Palace game next week, without this big thing out of the way, and I want to see if we can kind of do it. More so having the Gallagher, a Palmer here, and then having Nkunku maybe this side actually, and having the Palmer more deeper as like the Gallagher role. Yeah, when we're playing against a Palace, especially more of a low block at home, I would say with this system. There's Nkunku in there because I think we have to get him in. Jackson and Nkunku can rotate between the two. And we know that they've got a good chemistry. We've seen it in pre-season. I want to see it again. I think it'll be even more beneficial for us from an offensive point. I think we'll be better attacking if we have this flow between the two. And with Palmer in a deeper role, I think he can then be more effective. And the one thing I would say about Palmer yesterday, he played that role that we don't like, but I do still think that it limits his game. I do still think it limits his game, personally. I'd rather him be a little bit more deeper than being the guy that was staying up the pitch like he was yesterday. In many ways, it sacrificed a lot of what he was good at. Yeah, he had good moments where he linked the ball and played it to the wide and blah, 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 blah. But I just think where he can receive balls and then Enzo and Caicedo are closer and he can work with them in getting the balls and moving forwards, these two specifically, Enzo and Caicedo, I think I would prefer to see that on the eye. Yeah, of course. Off the ball, listen, the off the ball forward, my point being is, and I was saying this yesterday, a lot of yesterday, off the ball, the 4-4-2, but it was tight. Okay? On the ball, from deep, phase 1, picking the ball up from the defence, moving it into Caicedo. Caicedo and Enzo were a lot closer. And I put loads of pictures up in the WhatsApp group yesterday. I don't even know if I'll be able to get it up. Loads of pictures in the WhatsApp group yesterday of Enzo and Caicedo, either Enzo deepening Caicedo or Enzo near Caicedo, but they worked together to get up the pitch. It wasn't Caicedo the deepest person to receive the ball in phase 2, yeah, trying to beat 1 or 2 defenders to then make a 20-yard pass to Gallagher or Enzo. It was better. What we did yesterday flowed better. It was better to watch. What can't he get up? Expose me for bleeding blue. Big up, Cordy, man. Big up. So, yeah, in the future, I'd like to see that system. You know, we're going to quickly talk about... Oh, what have I done here? What have I done here? Leave. There we go. Roy Keane pointed out something which is, again, praised because it's Roy Keane. Absolutely outstanding. The two, Enzo and Caicedo, of them dominated the midfield. They looked strong. They looked aggressive. Their passing was short. Oh, interesting. Guess what? Their passing was short. Decision-making was excellent. They looked strong, physical, and outstanding. And the peel at the end were the big of it all. And that sounds stupid to the difference to what we saw yesterday to what we've seen in the past games. And it's a big difference. And I know Couch disagrees with me in it, which I find I don't really understand, to be quite honest with you, is that Enzo and Caicedo were closer to each other. And when Enzo had the ball and carried the ball forward, yeah, and did go, you know, into them areas of the 8/10s where Gallagher is and, you know, played in Jackson, whatever, watch Caicedo's position, the difference. He followed it. He followed up with them. So there was not always a massive gap where he was too deep and one was up there and the other one's over there and God knows what was going on. We just moved better off the ball. He drops back in. He finds his position again. And then Gallagher and Palmer work hard off the ball to win the ball again. And that was a difference. They were playing short passes to each other, Caicedo and Enzo, when they were getting pressed. So as soon as Caicedo got the ball, Villa were like, bang, go and get him. Caicedo was turning well, number 1, which worked. But number 2, he had Enzo to find. And there was moments where tight moments where they had to quickly do 1-2s of each other and they broke the press. But it worked better because they were close to each other. And that's why our midfield was a lot more noticed in yesterday's game than it would have been against Wolves, it would have been against Liverpool, it would have been against the teams that we lost at home. Because the midfield was functioning better. It was functioning better. It just did. So Vince came out with this comment here, and he says, if we keep playing like we did last night, then we don't need to switch to the three at the back. Obviously, the three at the back was something that was being tired to happen. If Enzo and Caicedo playing the pivot, there you go. I agree. I think that needs to be more of the case. Play them closer to each other. Defensive line close to the defensive midfield line. Again, what did Jem just say earlier? The space between the defence and the midfield narrowed. Big changes. It doesn't look a lot, but it's a big change. It does. It causes problems for the opposition. Wingers tracking runners. This was a big one for me because one of the things that I think we've lacked in is, and it is performance of players, by the way. Yesterday's performance was heavy on the performance of the players and how they played also as well. They all stepped up. They all stepped up and played their part, but they were drilled better because Madueke and Jackson, to be quite honest with you, were just harder workers on the day. They'd done their job. They kept filling the spaces. If Gusto went forward, they went right back. Jackson would track back. Cash following through, and in that case, Chilwell didn't have to get dragged out of position. Like, they worked better off the ball, the wingers, up and down as well. Not even just on the ball where we were good and we were direct off the wings, it was better, but off the ball, they covered the spaces. Close space between the lines for effective counter pressing and winning second balls. Yeah, I agree, because they went in numbers. Again, they went in numbers at the right time. They didn't always just go. Sometimes when I watched this in the past, we just used to just go. Just run out and chase the ball when no one else is going with you. I've seen the amount of times I used to see Enzo just chasing a right back or a centre back and then completely out of position. And then the ball would get played into the wing, and then all of a sudden it'll find it in the middle where Enzo ain't in the pocket. And do you get what I mean? Like the pressing and the understanding of when to go was better. Then we are good. Football is a game of space, not all about formations. If we close gaps at the back and exploit gaps in front of us, then you are good. Yes. It has to be well drilled. And I agree with the three at the back. Like, the three at the back has its weaknesses because you take the fullbacks out, Gusto and Chilwell, then you have the problem. Do you know what I mean? You know, and that's key. It was, don't get me wrong, I don't think they were at the best of their game yesterday. But at the same time, there were moments with the midfield where they went for it. They started attacking the Caicedo and Enzo and trying to win the balls quickly off us. And we managed to we were just a lot better. Enzo would at times hide higher up the field before dropping to receive it in our build up. The issue with previous games is Enzo would spend too much between the lines, leaving Caicedo on and but exactly. Yeah, and that's the issue. That was the real issue. It's the build up off the ball which affected us, which then allowed us to break down. But also, effectively, when balls were received in them pockets, eventually where Enzo and Gallagher were, in my opinion, it wasn't really effective enough in them. It was, and I mean from the way that we move forward in the final phase, the wing backs maybe not making runs in behinds, not having a striker, them dropping deeper, which means that you're limiting. So it ends up going like back, if that makes sense. And it was just never really. It just wasn't working. This is what I'm saying. It was intricate tweaks yesterday that I saw that made the system better, that made the system flow better. David, what are you saying, my boy? Long time no see. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. We haven't spoken in a while.
I know, man. We haven't spoken about Chelsea in a while.
No, we've
been a minute, man. It's definitely been a minute. Obviously, we had a very good performance yesterday, David, for Chelsea standards anyway, at this moment in time. How did you think we played yesterday? What do you think was the difference between yesterday's game and what we've seen against Wolves and the Liverpools where we've lost? What was it was different for you? And who impressed you as well?
Genuinely, I don't think much changed. Like, I really don't think much changed. I think the players just made better decisions. That's what I just feel like happened. Like, Poch can send out the team and say, put Caicedo here, Enzo here, Gallagher here. You guys do. Like, he can say, you guys play next to each other and you guys go up front. And then Gallagher go further forward. But I feel like yesterday the players went, well, if we're a bit closer together, we can combine a lot better. And because we had, to be fair, the one thing I will say, not playing actual fullbacks is a massive hindrance, I feel like, most of the time.
Yeah,
and when you've got proper fullbacks, you actually create like overlaps and create space out wide. That's when, like, I feel like our team's at our best. So I felt like as a team, they made better positions. I don't really think Poch really changed. He didn't like. It's not like, you remember when we had Conte and we lost 3-0 to Arsenal and he changed the whole system. And then we got. It wasn't that. It was, I think it was like minor tweaks that went on, plus the players just making better decisions. That's what I genuinely feel like. I've been watching this whole year. I've been like, there have been games that we should have won and we haven't, but it's not been a Poch issue. It's been a player issue. But because it's happened quite a few times, and then Poch has also made mistakes himself, it's now like, get Poch out because he's the main issue. But to me, that's not the way I see it. I just don't see it.
I agree and disagree with you. I think where it's a Poch issue is that he's meant to be an experienced manager. I've been watching him in games, how he handles the man management, how he problem solves in games when we're struggling. You can clearly see it with the eye. The system's not working. What he does, and I'm not always talking about change the system. Sometimes, and it's not even always about just making the subs, because don't get me wrong, I do think in many games he's made late substitutions. I'm like, what are you doing? Why didn't you do that 20 minutes ago? But we say that about many managers. But for me, it's the tweaks. It's how you move. It's how you bring your midfield closer, Enzo, Caicedo, because by doing that, it alleviates what we saw under Wolves and Liverpool, which was phase one, receive the ball out the back, play into Caicedo. 3 midfielders of Liverpool, and there's so many pictures I've got of this. You could see McAllister, Curtis Jones, and the other guy, Szoboszlai, all 3 of them in the picture, all surrounding Caicedo. Enzo and Gallagher behind them, further up the pitch, but closer to each other. It's about 20 yards difference. So what Caicedo's actually got to do in them positions when he receives it from deep is beat a player or two and then find a 20-yard pass. What was different yesterday was when we built up from the back. I agree with you. The fullbacks, having natural fullbacks, gave us width, so they held it wide, which was better. Caicedo dropped in as like a centre back. He went in between the centre backs sometimes to receive the ball, but Enzo's positioning from where it was against Wolves and Liverpool was different because he came deeper to help Caicedo get up the pitch into phase 2, phase 3, and then we transition quicker with Jackson and Madueke, who I thought had good games as well off the wing, and move forward. They're minor tweaks, but they're big to the eye for me, because one of my biggest things with him is that he's misused Enzo. He's been misusing Enzo for a long time for me in the system. Yeah. And the difference why Enzo was better yesterday was because he was more involved in the team yesterday, because he dropped a bit deeper. He carried the ball. He helped Caicedo, break the press, because what they've done with Caicedo is they hunted him down quicker, which means he could play into Enzo 1-2s. And I saw it numbers of times. They were just playing off each other, 1-2 off, and then we broke. It was nice. We was able to do that. Don't get me wrong, Aston Villa weren't at their best yesterday. They didn't press that great. No. It wasn't like Liverpool pressing where we were like, oh shit, we've got to fucking move the ball quicker. But still, just them minor tweaks for me allowed us to just look better. And they just looked better drilled, David, in my opinion, yesterday than they did.
Yeah, no, I agree. I felt like, again, when we watched the first Villa game, I felt like I was quite confident in terms of, we played really well against them last time. We seem to know how to play against them, so we'll probably play quite well against them this time. Yeah. The difference for me was again, it was just players making better decisions in terms of, we weren't the ones making the mistakes. I felt like too many times this year, even when we've been the better team in a game, we've had players who have passed the ball straight to their right wing or whatever, and then they've just gone and scored. And then that's when the heads go down and everything, and blah, blah. Yesterday was we played really, we had the 10 minutes at the start where it was a little bit shaky, and then after that 10 minutes, it was we had control and we had a bit more composure about us. But these ups and downs, I fully expect. I'm not again, 11th good enough? No. But does it shock me that we've drawn 4-4 with Man City, but then we've got absolutely smashed by Liverpool, and then we've gone and had our best position, we've had our best game, we've had pretty much all season? No, it doesn't shock me, because I'm expecting this up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like it doesn't shock
No,
me.
but that's understandable. But he still needs, as a manager, in many games that I've watched him, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching him, I'm waiting to see how he acts, if he's going to change something, whatever. I still feel that Pochettino has been the root of his own downfall with some of what we've done through it, especially in specific games. I look at the Wolves game at home, last game round. There was a number of things that I felt Poch got wrong. Number of things. All right, players' performances is massive, and they are going to be hindered. Even Sterling is not playing well. This guy's meant to be experienced, and he's even struggling to pull to the standards that we need to. Don't get me wrong. It is down to player performances, but it's also, for me, a tactical element of how he's been setting us up, how he continues to be naive and just keep playing that rather than just tweaking like he did yesterday. Off the ball, we played a 4-4-2. We closed the spaces. I said it earlier on. We closed the spaces more between the midfield and the defence, which made it harder for like the Watkins and whoever to get in them spaces to receive. Like it was for me. I saw a lot more. Literally, that was it. I just saw a lot more going on.
I agree, and I hope that we keep that blueprint for the next couple of games. I think what's key is, again, he needs to decide who, not my starting 11, but who are like my main 13 to 14 people that I'm going to use, and use them and just give them like 100%. Game after game after game, because we have to get through this bit of, because again they all need football games, which is a really weird thing. Like, because our squad is so like they're all 21, 22, all of them don't actually have enough games for them to actually be like considered experienced enough. So I think you're going to have to choose 15 of them and go, we're making these 15 our experience 15, and then the others are going to have to pinch in whenever they can. But like for me personally, the way I've been watching has been frustrating, because I feel like we do have the right players to actually play very good football, but we just haven't done it enough times. Like for me, like the way Jorginho and Enzo played. The way we used to play with Jorginho, where it was like he'd get the ball and he's literally every game, if you could put a bet on, Jorginho's having the most touches on the ball, that should be Enzo, because Enzo is a much better version of Jorginho.
David, you've answered.
He can move it on. You know what I'm saying? He can he's far more creative and stuff. We have the players to do the right things. It's just that there have been times this year where I will admit Poch has made mistakes himself. But am I Poch out? No, I'm not Poch out, because I don't see how that solves our issue.
He's naive.
That's my main issue.
I hear what you lot are saying, yeah. And obviously, David, I heard what you said at the beginning. First of all, big up the chat. Listen, big up Jem every time, man. We need to keep up this consistency, man. But yeah, listen, I've been listening to what you guys have been saying, and as much as I don't think Poch takes all the blame, I think majority of the blame right now is on Pochettino for not using these men correctly. Because David, what you've just said right there is spot on. We've got players in this team. I've been banging on about it for time. We've got technical players that want to keep the ball. We're a possession-based team. That's the sort of team that we're building right now. And if you guys remember at the start of the season, when we were playing better but not picking up results, every single game that we had more possession than the other team, because we were keeping the ball, and we were, when Palmer came into the team, we were creating good chances. We were playing, quite well, but a lot better than what we are now, right? But ever since he started to leave Caicedo on that island by himself, we're not able to build up consistently the way that we need to. Because Caicedo, he's good on the ball, yes. He's press resistant as well. But if you're asking him to beat 2-3 players every single time, he's going to get dispossessed, bro. This is the Premier League. He's up against good players. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to get dispossessed. What Enzo does, he helps him there. And that's fine. It's not to say Caicedo's a bad player if he needs help, but that's what he is, and that's what he was at Brighton. He always had someone next to him to help him.
That's the difference. We played the
exactly. At Brighton, he used to play next to McAllister, or he used to play next to Pascal Gross. And even yesterday, you can see that he was enjoying the game, because every single time he got the ball and he looked up, he had a combination with Enzo right next to him. That's why you saw a lot of the triangles, and that's why you saw us building up the way that we did, because he had players closer to him. So I don't understand how you can watch yesterday and literally come out here saying that nothing was changed, because it was very, very clear that the instruction that Enzo had was to pick up the ball from deep and then progress into attacking positions, not the other way around, not leave him by himself, let him build by himself and then go and help him. Yeah. Caicedo's not like a Lavia. Lavia can play in the lone six by himself. I watched multiple games last year where he can hold it up by himself. Caicedo's not that. He's not a lone six. He needs someone next to him. And yesterday he had someone next to him and we played better. Numerous examples of where he's done that this season, but he goes away from it. Preston, He had Enzo playing deeper. One of his best performances this season. Fulham, both games. Yeah, he had. I was even at both games at the Bridge and away. He had Enzo playing deeper. We played better. Do you know what I'm saying? When we played against Luton, he had Enzo playing a little bit deeper. We played better. There's been numerous examples where he's done that, but there's more examples where he hasn't done that. And that is the main problem that we need to speak about. He needs to stick with this system of having our players playing closer together, because these lot are technical. They want to play football. They don't want to do this gun-hole counter-attacking football. They want to play and create patterns the way we did yesterday. So it was good. It was a good performance from Poch, and it was a good performance from the players. But let's not ignore the fact that we were set up correctly. That is why the players played the way they did. Because we didn't play like that against Wolves. We got battered. We didn't get set up like this against Man United. We got battered. We didn't set up like this against Newcastle. We got battered. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's very clear, bro. Yesterday worked, and it was on the manager. Big up Poch. As much as I want him out, big him up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Forward, you watched the game. You got to rewatch the game after. By the way, I've said Nigeria will win it. By the way, I said it from the beginning, and I still think they're going to win this. Big up Nigeria. You know, they're getting to the final. You know, and all that. Forward, I know you went out to celebrate, didn't you, for that as well? Yeah. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to still recover from that, and you might hear it in my voice a little bit, but yeah, no, I'm still high from the Nigerian game. Obviously, massive result for us to get to the final. But yeah, no, I was able to obviously watch back the Chelsea game with a bit of a level head, and it was good. It was good. I could really just see it. Obviously, rewind certain moments that you don't get to do obviously live, and really assess what happened and why it happened, rather than just watching it as it goes like a fan. And yeah, obviously, what I saw was again similar to what a lot of people have been saying, is that the system wasn't too different. Again, I think David made a lot of great points that the players did obviously execute the system better. Yeah. But again, there was those small changes which had a massive difference. And obviously that is Enzo altering his position at times and dropping a bit deeper more often than we would see against the likes of Wolves, Liverpool in recent games. And it's not to say that Enzo, like, again, like even before when people were saying, oh, Enzo was playing striker against I think what team was it? I think Middlesbrough in the cup. Obviously we did win that game, but people saying, oh, Enzo was playing like too high, and like obviously he was playing too high. He wasn't playing like a striker.
We had remember against Everton, this guy was overlapping our left hand side, bro. Do you know how crazy that is?
Yeah, it was too much.
But I'm being told that yesterday there wasn't a clear change. Come on now, bro.
Yeah, 100%. No, 100%. It was too much. Like there were times obviously in previous games where too much of the time he's spending it like he's playing like almost like a kind of like a Bruno Fernandes position, where like when we don't want Enzo doing that, like at times you can start high, and even there were times against Villa where he would start high but he would drop in deep, because again what Caicedo's used to is like a box in that middle between the two centre backs, and then obviously him and a partner in midfield. And obviously with De Zerbi it works brilliantly how they do at Brighton, with obviously having McAllister that was next to him or Gross. Obviously yesterday Enzo at times was always giving him more of an option. Again, sometimes he would start high like I mentioned in the chat earlier, but then he would drop deeper, which obviously makes it harder for him to be marked, because obviously they got their three in midfield who are a good midfield three, but we absolutely bossed them. Like we dominated that midfield. And again, a big part of that was obviously Enzo again dropping in and helping Caicedo play his game. And again, Enzo wouldn't be able to play his game if Caicedo didn't have a pretty much flawless performance, because Caicedo's press resistance, which is his best attribute, was amazing. And that's why it obviously is a letdown when you see him make mistakes like he did against Wolves, which is just a player mistake. Again, Poch doesn't really control that. And that's obviously on Caicedo for making a mistake that he made. But again, against Villa, he was flawless in the build-up. And again, it was great. The back four obviously did their job. At times we got overloaded in wide areas.
Just to go back a little bit forward, yeah. Just to go back a little bit before I forget the point, yeah. You know what you said about the game against Wolves when he lost the ball, right? If you go back and watch how many blue shirts were around him, there was no options, bro. Right? Chilwell played him under pressure, played it to him. I don't even know why he gave it to him. He had about 3 bodies around him. As soon as Caicedo got the ball, he looked up and you could see that he was getting a little bit flustered. Yes, he was poor, because I even criticized him on my fan cam I done on Chelsea Fan TV. But if you look around him, there was no one there to lay it off. Yesterday, he had someone to combine with every single time, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. No, listen, like Caicedo, like, so in that instance, right, like, okay, we can all agree Chilwell in terms of build up is cheeks. Like his awareness in terms of when to pass the ball to people, wait to pass, all of these things, like it's terrible. Like I've even took screenshots of the game yesterday where like there's times where Enzo's literally trying to coach this man in game, like, bro, just pass it there, and Chilwell won't listen in it. Like in that situation with Wolves, when he passed Caicedo the ball, Caicedo didn't have many options other than really just to go back. And obviously again Caicedo took a touch, dwindled for a second, and then got robbed in it. So I hear that. Enzo was obviously close in that instance. And again, yesterday we saw many more instances where Caicedo received the ball under pressure, and he, again, through his ability, would turn and be able to make space. And also then find other and Enzo, sometimes Gallagher when he would drop deep or just go back and play it safe. But no, the build-up was just a lot better. Against a good team, you have to admit, who have a good home record. They're not in the greatest of form, but they were confident coming off a 5-0 win against Sheffield United. So I don't want to take too much away from the win. It was a good performance. Obviously, the attack, we'll talk about more in detail later on in the show, but they obviously did their work. And again, we're seeing wingers perform better in wide areas. Again, for me, Jackson performed better than we've seen anything Modric's done at left wing. Nani was more consistent yesterday. At times he could do better with a final third product, but in terms of just the build up and offering obviously pace, some good strength as well in wide areas, gave Moreno a hard day. So overall I'm happy. Overall it wasn't like a revolutionary change in terms of how we played, but the small changes made a massive difference and gave us one of our best performances of the season. So I'm happy, man.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's the overarching point. That's the overarching point, because people talk about this team and talk about Chelsea as if we need to rip it all apart and then go again. Like right now, what we need to do is obviously go into the market and now start to look at experience to help these young players, right? Yeah. But with the guys that we've got right now, people will talk, the rivals especially have been talking, and some Chelsea fans have been talking as if Poch hasn't got enough to make a meal. You know what I'm saying? My man's gone downstairs, he looked in the cupboard, and there's some ingredients in there for you to make something for yourself to eat, my brother. But my man's burning the food every single week. Do you know what I'm saying? So
let me just hop on a point you made earlier.
If you use his man correctly, this is what happened. This is what happened, sorry. They will play better, bro.
Let me just hop on a point you made earlier, because I've been thinking about it for a long time. But bro, the football that we can play with this team is sensational, bro. Like at times I was talking even earlier in the season that if we had like a Hazard level player in this team, bro, he would thrive, because the teams that Hazard played in, other than with the Sarri season where we saw him explode, like he didn't play in teams that were built to play great football. This team has a lot of players that can play amazing football. We just need to unearth that a lot more.
Exactly. And that goes down to the manager to set them up correctly, and then you'll get the best of them again.
100%. Let's go to, we've got Couch here, we're going to come to him in a second. Hassan, you was at the game yesterday. You saw that Enzo free kick. Guy, look.
Yeah, I managed to even get it on record, man. How you guys been anyways?
Good, mate, good. How was it for you?
Bro.
Yeah, it was quite good, the way experience. We were quite loud. I don't know how it sounded on TV, but
you lot were making noise, man. I rated it.
Yeah, the Villa fans. So but like I was saying, right, the Villa fans, right, they were quite quiet in the game, and just before the game started, right, I don't know if it came on TV as well, the players all got into a cuddle or a hurdle together, and I was saying to Fats, because Fats was right next to me anyway, so we met for the first time, so I was saying to him, I got a feeling that we're going to turn up today. I got a feeling we're going to actually win, because something about Chelsea and like cup games in general, that they really just end up turning up in general. So yeah, I mean, it was quite good. It's quite energetic. The crowd was like making noise from minute one. So yeah, I mean, Gusto had a great game for me. Enzo was switching up the balls. It looked quite good on live than it does on TV, because you can actually see the ball ping and curl.
It's crazy, bro. His passing is ridiculous when you see it in person. It's mad, bro.
Yeah, it actually curls, man. It doesn't look like straight the way it does on TV. It's the angle, but yeah, I saw that free kick going, and what a free kick that was. But in general, I think this is like one of the best performances of the season. Probably the best I've probably seen. And I don't know why, man. Every time I go to a away game, we always win 3-0. So
I'm getting you a ticket to the final, bro. I'm getting you a ticket to the final, bro.
Yeah, hopefully we turn out, man. I don't know why, man. Chelsea won't be in the way when I go, so I might as well book a tickets for the final. But yeah, Gusto played well. The backline played well. Who else was there? Yeah, and
Sarsi especially was amazing for me.
The players, everyone's had their shaky moments throughout the game, but that's just natural. That's just the game. But yeah, I mean, the players and the lads did well.
Didn't have control of it though, didn't we? For once, which was a difference as well. Like usually we play well for a proportion, but then we lose control of it for a large proportion. Yesterday we lost control. I think I looked at 70 minutes, and that was a good 3/4 of the game. You'd say that we actually performed to a standard. Do you know what I mean? So
and then they went to a back five after that as well, which was some good in-game management. But let's talk about the centre backs, man. Disasi and Badia Shield yesterday, bro. Yeah, they were very, very key, and they helped us. Disasi was good as well, like in terms of the blocks, just building up from the back.
Yeah, the shots blocked and tackles that they made.
Yeah, one thing about Badiashile and Disasi, and I have to big up Couch for this as well, because start of the season he was speaking about Silva on the ball. The guy takes too long on the ball. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And as you've cut off, what I will also say is Badiashile made some very bad passes yesterday in the first half, in my opinion.
He did.
Playing balls over the top, which I actually think Disasi's a better playing out than, I think he's better with the ball playing out than Badiashile is, personally, from what I've seen of him.
I think I've seen Badiashile have better games than he had yesterday, and like ultimately we won, right, and we almost kept a clean sheet. Bar like again some laziness in terms of like our setup, like defending corners. We need to like stop allowing teams to create those overloads from short corners, and then even then we don't mark on the edge of the box. So obviously, good finish from DRB to be fair, but no, I think Badiashile had a good game. I think Disasi had a great game. I think Badiashile at times he got lucky with a clearance earlier on in the first half. At times the heavy footedness you can see does cost him at times, but overall like he was all right. But he can play better. But I think the thing is obviously like again the elephant in the room is obviously Thiago Silva and maybe Bella Silva and what happened with that, right? But listen, I think he's still been our best centre back this season. But again, the man is 39 years of age and he's a legend of the game. He's been great for us. But obviously playing in a 4-back, especially when your left back is Ben Chilwell, who will leave spaces open, it leaves him very vulnerable. And you can see that while Badiashile isn't an Olympic sprinter, he's still got more recovery pace than a Thiago Silva, so it's a bit easier for us to play the high line. So I think it's a better partnership. They blend together but better. They obviously played a lot of football together in Monaco, so it's a better shape since we're playing a back 4. If you obviously go to a back 5, then I think Thiago Silva between them would be solid as well.
And against Liverpool, that's the question in the final. Could you see Disasi playing? I
don't know about that. I don't know about that, Jim. Yeah, but sorry, my phone was someone tried to ring me there. Yeah, but the point that I was going to say about them two, yeah, let me take it back to the overarching point about our team being technical and these not trying to play some football. Badiashile and Disasi, they play what they see, right? As much as people want to get onto Disasi, for me, he's a squad player. But when it comes to building up from the back, yeah, he just plays what he sees a lot of the time. And you need that of technical players because you don't want to be dilly-dallying. And then by the time you play it, Caicedo's being pressed. By the time you play it, that pass is gone. Do you know what I mean? They just need to get the ball from the back and just play it quickly, right? And that's what they were doing yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Badiashile in the first half, his passing was quite poor. He was forcing it a little bit, but he did kind of grow into the game. But he does look a lot comfortable with someone like a Disasi next to him. Because one thing about Disasi and Silva playing together, bro, slow, bruv. They're so slow. And we have to drop back at least a couple yards when they play together. Do you know what I mean? It's the deepest line. So, you know, early on in the season, we saw Silva was struggling. He kept making individual mistakes. And I think we were all on the same page when we said, listen, we need to drop him. And you know, hopefully, let's see if we can try something else because we need to phase him out. Rest of the season, I'm comfortable in phasing him out. If we've got to bring him in for the bigger games, so be it, where we're not going to be on the ball as much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? When we're going away.
If it's a back 5, then yeah.
If it's a back 5, cool. But we need to start phasing him out now, man. Because even individual duels, Jem, like against Liverpool, against Wolves the other day. Like I love Thiago Silva, yeah. But it's been poor. It's been poor, innit? It's been poor. You know what I'm saying?
It's not even about him being poor. It's the fact that we've got to look past him because he's going next season. We need to find the partnership of what we have. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to start playing.
And big up to him for lasting this long and having as many good performances as he's had because I still thought over the season he's been our best centre back. But we still need to phase him out. That's just the facts of it. And I feel like Disasi being like the most senior one there, you saw him actually kind of stepping up and being more of the leader because obviously naturally you defer to Silva when he's in the lineup. But you saw that he felt like, you know what, I'm the kind of the guy of this back 5 really. And you saw him step up because again, I don't rate Chilwell like a captain like that. He was all right yesterday, but again, Chilwell for me still it's very mid. But Disasi, big up, man. Like he looked more like a leader than I've seen him before, which is good. And we really need that in the squad.
He put a great block in inside the box where he kind of like spreaded his legs out and stopped it going into the bottom corner and stuff. And
pause on that, but he was solid, man. He was solid.
Let's go to
pause on that.
Critic, man. Couch Critic.
The Lexington's a bit wild, but yeah.
Couch Critic. Here.
What's up, Phil? Everybody good?
Are you good, man?
Big up, Couch, man. Big up.
Mr. Proctor, bro. Here comes Poch's barrister. Here we go.
No, hey man, I'm just here for the vibes. You don't know.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
I didn't see much different yesterday. I'm not. That's being disingenuous. I can't say I didn't see much difference. I'm gonna tell you that the difference that I saw is in complete contrast to what you guys saw. I thought that the biggest difference that I saw in our setup was the fact that we saw more of Caicedo as solo six. We saw more when we're playing out from the back with Caicedo dropping into the back line and playing out from there. And in tandem were the two attacking eights. You saw more of Gallagher and Enzo dropping in from that second phase to get onto the ball when we're playing out from the back. And one of the amazing things that I saw from Enzo Fernandez in this game, which I didn't really see previously, is when he dropped in to collect in the second phase, he was swinging the ball out to the likes of Gusto at will, like first time hit. He'll drop into those spaces and just lick it into space for Gusto.
You see that? If you're technical, you play what you see. You play what you see, bro.
No, but that was obviously a rehearsed move though, because we did about 4 times where he would drop into those spaces and just knock it into the right.
One of those led to the second goal as well.
Exactly that. I'm glad you picked that up as well. Exactly that. And but that happened more often than not. But for me, I don't know if, and I was bigging up David in the chat, because everything that he said for me was bang on. Like, that was exactly it. Yes, there were tactical switches in the game, and there were small little switches in the game, but overall, the thing that changed the most was just the energy and effort on the pitch. Guys were better. Guys were better in their role. The only other thing that I noticed, and that I think was very, very crucial, was the symmetry as well. For the most part this season, we've been playing with, those 3 center backs in the back line, and we've been making an asymmetrical overload on one side of the pitch, whether it be the left or the right.
Yeah.
With having the 2 attacking fullbacks going down the pitch, it gave us more symmetry, and it gave us the same sort. Exactly, it gave us that, right? It gave us more in wide areas where we could naturally combine in those areas. But those are the only 2 real tactical switches that I saw. Everything else was just awareness for me. Like, we were just more switched on. Like, there were situations in that game where guys like Chilwell came central one point in the game where we're in the attacking phase, and Chilwell came central, and the natural response for Enzo was to drop back in the left back position. We've never seen that before. We've just not seen that stuff. There's times where Chilwell bombing up the pitch. Yeah, those guys. Yeah. Well, they track back extremely well between Jackson and McBreaky. They track back extremely well. That was instructions as well. Obviously, he made sure that the team was turned on there. But there was a situation where Ben Chilwell, we're staying in our 4-4-2, like our defensive 4-4-2 shape, and forcing Aston Villa into mistakes. We weren't really pressing them. We weren't pressing them at all. We stayed in our base shape and basically took what's his name, Kamara, and what's the other guy?
Why do you think that was
Luis out of the game? Because when we're starting to, I think when we're trying to like press that second wave of the press, I'm not talking about Gallagher and Palmer. The second wave of the press, when it's Caicedo and Enzo and then our wingers, they often don't judge when to go correctly, and they don't move in tandem very well. So when you're gang tackling, you're getting into those positions, somebody will go before somebody else, and we're not really timing that. So then the shape gets pulled out, and then we're all over the place. But the thing that I noticed this game, and I'm just going to touch back on, we didn't really look to press them. We just basically stayed in our shape and forced them into mistakes by taking out their midfielders and forcing their defenders to be the players that are being the ball players in that setup. And there was one instance where Chilwell just intercepts the ball. Like, I kid you not, Kamara just passed it right to him, and Chilwell just starts bombing up the left flank. And instead of Jackson being somebody that's just going to go bomb on and get into the attacking area, he's holding the left back position.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is what I'm talking about. This is defensive awareness and a tactical awareness that was not present in previous games, where you're not switched on. You're not thinking about what's happening up the pitch. Okay, well, if we get countered here, what's going to happen? That left flank's exposed right now. So those are the things that I noticed specifically that were very, very different. The spaces between, and I know we're going to talk about this, the spaces between Enzo and Caicedo in our base setup, that 4-4-2, when we're just looking to absorb pressure, was very close. They were maybe like 5 to 10 meters apart from each other, 7 to 10 meters apart from each other. But our build-up phase, when we're building out from the back, there's a chasm between them still. And I really feel like the reason why we didn't notice that as much is because Villa were so poor at pressing the ball. They were not pressing us. We were able to find the angles where, like I said, where Caicedo's playing solo 6, and you have Gallagher and Enzo making those late runs to come back into the box or come back to receive the ball in the second phase.
Yeah.
We're getting on the ball consistently like that all the time. And there's times where we're trying to extend the ball out to where Enzo is basically the furthest attacker. All this stuff has been documented.
He was also one of the most deepest, though, Couch. I remember points where he came deep and he was deeper than Caicedo to receive the ball.
I think that midfield three was very much in tandem, where people were compensating for. So like when Enzo goes, when Caicedo goes to press the ball, Enzo would fall into that hole there. That happened a lot. That did happen.
Gallagher done it for Enzo. Gallagher would drop into Enzo's
Gallagher's
position
done it. Gallagher did it as well. But I'm still saying when we're playing out from the back, the understanding I got from it was we're playing more of a 4-3-3 with a solo 6 and 2 attacking 8s. That's what it looked like when we're playing. And all of this stuff, like I said before, was very well documented in my video. And I'm going to show that to you guys if you don't believe what I'm saying. I'm just editing.
I see what Couch is saying for sure. Like Couch isn't like getting things wrong here. Like in terms of like the absolute first phase where like we're playing out like from literally like around our box, right? Like because obviously, again, I think what a lot of people see like is them pressing us like in the middle of the pitch because they didn't always full court press us. Because in the beginning phase where again these battles are really won and lost, right? In terms of it's a team willing to press you because they're getting joy out of it. When they did try to press us with the full court press, often it obviously is Caicedo by himself, like there. But because Caicedo, like I said, had for me literally a flawless game. Whenever he was pressing those situations, he would always find a way to turn it out. Like I took screenshots of those moments. I'll probably post it into the chat later. But like when those moments happened, he was able to turn either win a free kick or just get through and like all of a sudden leave Tielemans and Kamara in the dust, and it was only just Luiz there. So then he had to stop a little bit more. And then their first press would then be more like in the middle of the pitch. Where obviously then Enzo is naturally closer to Caicedo because he doesn't want to be spending too much time like in a number 10 position, really. So no, what Couch is saying is correct. Again, that's why for me, Caicedo having a big game is so important for us if we're going to play that way. Because if teams want to go for the full court press and Caicedo is moving like he can't be touched, then of course they have to back off a little bit, and then that brings Enzo into the game more. So I 100% see what Couch is saying.
Why Enzo was more in the game for me was because maybe again it was more involved because he was able to maybe like the Couch was saying alternate more, but I just felt I found him more in a position where he could drop deep, and I agree Caicedo would beat the press sometimes, but he always knew once he got to that next second phase that Enzo was a lot closer rather than
there's an option, and that's the key thing here. We're not saying go on, Jem. We're not saying that Caicedo always needs Enzo right next to him when it's time to build up as the first pass. No one is saying that. But what we're saying is the clear change here was that Enzo was always an option for him. Majority of the game, he was always an option for him. So when Caicedo picks up the ball and it dropped, hold on, let me finish my point. So when when Caicedo picks up the ball, he's not running around and looking for blue shirts and there's no one around him. The proximity yesterday was a lot closer. Enzo was making himself an option. When I've been watching this majority of the games this season, Enzo drops here and there, but majority of the game he's further up. He's far away. No. He's further away from Caicedo. Further away from Caicedo.
I think the difference was today that when he dropped, he wasn't marked out of the game because, again, I think that Aston Villa were just not very good at tracking his runs coming deep. And then also they weren't sitting on him. They just weren't sitting on Enzo. There were times where he would come into the midfield area and be right beside Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell would be further forward than him. He would take those positions just to get on the ball. And they weren't tracking him in those areas. I'm telling you, like it wasn't so much about how much we changed as much as Aston Villa just did not know where to press us. They did not know where to press us.
That's also because when they did try to press us, there's times where we would play 1-2 through them. Like there were times where Enzo would get close and we would play 1-2 through them. So they had to back off a little bit.
Couch, you're saying they wasn't pressing us. They couldn't get near us because of the options that we had on the ball. When we had the ball, I literally tweeted this yesterday. Yeah, I'm not going mad here because what you're saying, Couch, I hear it to an extent, but I'm not going mad here. I was seeing so many options next to Caicedo, near Enzo. That's the reason why it looks like they weren't able to press us, or they weren't pressing us. They couldn't get near us, bro. They couldn't. And when we were off the ball, when you had that 4-4-2 off the ball, right? You could clearly see that Aston Villa were trying to build, and we weren't allowing them to build because we were looking at them like, go on then, and was waiting for the moment to pounce. Because Gallagher counter pressing is good, Palmer counter pressing is good, right? But we can't just use that as a way of scoring goals. We actually used our strengths on the ball in order to create the goals that we did. Do you know what I'm saying? So we played better. We played better because there was more options. There was more options in possession. There was way more options in possession to keep the ball ticking and keep it moving. That's why Aston Villa struggled when they did press us.
Right, I'm just going to quickly show you something really quickly, all right? Just really quickly. I'm not meant to show it, but I'm just going to quickly show it. This is what I saw more of. This specifically right here, all right? So he's got the ball. Enzo, little Enzo is 1-2. Look.
Yeah, and then that's in the middle third. Yeah.
That's that there.
Yeah, but again, that's not okay. That's not even so. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to finish my video. Maybe I should just like sign off now and just finish editing my video and just show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Because it's not like those situations don't happen in games even when we're playing poorly. That happens. Like you don't see. It's not the entire game that the instruction is for Enzo to just be out attacking the 18-yard box and then leaving it. Like there's situations where, of course, they're in tandem together, and there's situations where you see solo six. You know, there's multiple situations where Enzo has to drop into the areas to collect the ball. You know, like it's not. I'm just saying, like I said before, I just don't think that like what we've done today or yesterday is specifically that different. Maybe the spaces, maybe we tightened up a little bit more, and the spacing between when we're in our base, like sort of like soak up pressure 4-4-2, that felt closer. But I would say that like even in the wide areas, like because remember when we were talking about Chelsea playing too narrow, we were defending too narrow, and the wide areas were open there. That was the same thing again today. The wide areas were very open. The difference was our wingers were dropping back to track those runners. You know, I thought Madueke and Jackson, Madueke and Jackson did a fantastic job all day of tracking runners. I think I put that in the chat too. I thought that Madueke was the biggest asset that he was for us, not just like his dribbling and getting into the final third, was the fact that he was very good defensively and tracking runners. I'm pretty sure I put that in the chat yesterday because that's what I noticed, right? And it was that, but like we were still very, very narrow in our shape. Like you still saw Ben Chilwell and Gusto, you know, not necessarily right inside the A-team in terms of like where their average position was, but they weren't necessarily tugging the touchline when we're trying to defend those areas. They were very close to the central defenders, in my opinion. And, you know, it worked.
I just felt the space between the defense and the midfield was very narrow as well. And I agree because we played a lot more tighter. And Jackson and Madueke, if you watch very carefully, actually tucked in behind Enzo and Caicedo. And then what happened was, you're right. The wings, I had the picture up earlier. The wings were open for Matty Cash, and on the other side as well, where they were actually on their own. Every time they did eventually play it out there, Gusto would look to see where Madueke was. Madueke would mark the guy running in behind Gusto. Gusto would go out to the wing, and we'd still be in a solid structural position because there was an understanding of when to go. The other one tucks in, he comes back in, that one goes. Do you get what I mean? So that again is all training.
For sure.
And the thing is, I think we're kind of underplaying how important it is to have a proper structure in midfield, because your midfield is literally the heart of the game. Yeah? That's the engine, and that's the engine, right? So yesterday, that tweak of just literally just having Caicedo, that's why we've all been frustrated, because it's been a very basic thing to see that these two need to play together. They need to play closer together. They need to combine together, right? And that slight tweak made the whole team, the whole dynamic change completely. What you're saying, Couch, I hear it. There's a lot of good points that you've made. But what I'm saying is I feel like you're underplaying how important it was to play Caicedo and Enzo a lot closer majority of the game. Yes, some parts of the game, Caicedo was able to do it by himself because obviously Aston Villa, they dropped back a little bit, you know what I mean? But there was a lot of instances in the game where Enzo was helping him out a lot more than what I've seen majority of the season. Do you know what I mean? And that was a massive change because we've barely seen it. You know what I mean? We've barely seen it. That's the point that I'm making.
Basically, that's what they did. You should just sit up there, just do that, and they go.
That's literally it. It was a slight tweak, but it was very, very effective.
Very
effective.
You know?
Couch, do you think it's because the players were executing the tactics better, possibly the best we've seen? Or do you think it was actually down to the tweaks?
I think that everyone was switched on because of all the consternation in the fan base, and like obviously the directors coming down to the dressing room. I think people were switched on. They were more focused. They were not letting people get in behind them. So yeah, there was a lot of. I don't think that we changed the system specifically. I think that there was a small tweak with what we saw with Caicedo dropping in the middle and like basically playing what was Thiago Silva's position.
I agree.
But I don't think that we specifically changed a lot. I just think the players are more switched on. And
don't need to have
that could be for a variety of reasons.
Can I just say something quickly? Because I want to talk about other things anyway, right? When I mentioned about Nkunku having to fit in this system that we're playing, if he sticks to this and we move forwards, which I think he may do, we'll see. But I think at low blocks at home, when we're playing against a team where we need to break them down and we set up like we have here with natural fullbacks, we're overflowing Madueke and Jackson and whatever, that's fine. I'd take Gallagher out, drop Cole Palmer deeper into that role and just play Nkunku either up there, but leaving Nkunku and Jackson to do what they did in pre-season, which is alternate. Yeah, because Jackson will come into the middle with him and try and link play. And that's one thing I'm saying is we have to, in my opinion, get Nkunku in his team because he's a killer. Like, we have to. We can't ignore that.
Listen, big up Gallagher for the goal, but he hasn't done that all season. So big up that he scored the goal, but Nkunku more often than not is scoring those goals and offering enough in terms of support. Yes, he's not going to run as much as Gallagher. Like Gallagher has 4 lungs, right? Like, cool, you can do all the running in games like this away from home. Cool, that's great. But Aston Villa played kind of to our strength, and that's why we've competed well against them throughout the season. Even the home game which we lost, we were giving it to them until the red card. So yeah, no doubt, Gallagher has his uses in games like this, but Nkunku is a finisher, and we need finishers. We need somebody with that extra bit of quality, which we don't have, that experience and quality. That, again, this team lacks.
Even when he got the ball, when he cut it back to Caicedo without looking, like he's just so calm on the ball.
That one touch from like a Petrovic long ball that went into the sky, like, and then he brought it down was crazy.
I was like, huh? I was like, Jesus, like he's just. If you get him up and running, he's fit and he's happy and he's feeling good in his body and he's ready. You get him in that team. You have to get him in that team.
100%.
He will score goals. That will be the difference.
And Nkunku
goals, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
He has that experience.
Yeah, sure. Nkunku's nasty, man. No, that touch that he took to take down the ball like that. Everyone, all you heard is the crowd. Everyone's going, "Oh!"
Yeah, even Villa fans were like, "What was that?" Like that was amazing.
That's like Zidane. That's like a Zidane touch. You remember Zidane used to they cross the ball from
off of volleys. Yeah,
I need to watch it again.
Zidane just bring it down.
I saw it when he brought it down.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, but I replayed that like 5 times, bro.
Yeah, and I need to watch it again. I saw when he did it, but like it was he just finished.
It was quick. It was quick.
Oh, and by the way, Josh, thanks for bringing up the heat maps. I didn't even actually check the heat maps yesterday, and this illustrates exactly what I'm saying. That Caicedo was more solo 6 in that game, and Enzo was more of an attacking 8 on the left.
He's always going to be deeper. He's always going to be deeper. Whatever we do, it's not.
Yeah. So then it wasn't really a double pivot then, though, right? It was a single pivot with 2 8s, right? That's what I'm saying.
No.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't. It wasn't a 4-3-3 like that.
Nah, it's nowhere near a 4-3-3. It was a 4-2-3-1 in build up, and then a 4-4-2 in defense.
A 4-4-3 in what? Sorry, in build up.
4-4-2, 4-4-3 don't exist.
4-4-2 in what?
4-4-2 when we were defending, and 4-2-3-1 in build up. And you're saying you disagree with this?
But the heat, if someone's got a heat map, send me. I want to see this heat map. I actually want to.
I mean, I think it's clear that Caicedo's always going to be not always, but he's most likely going to be the deepest, and more often than not, he's the deepest. Of course, I think everybody recognizes that. It's just that Enzo was picking up more positions.
That doesn't mean that he's playing that doesn't mean that he's playing as a lone 6 because Enzo was near enough to him, bro. More Bears, bro. That's why I was so happy.
No.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying that what I saw was the midfield 3 was more tight. There's spaces that were closer, but
that's all we're really saying, to be honest.
Ideally, that's fine then. But that doesn't. Okay, all right.
Where is it?
I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna send it now. Let me see how I copy it. Hold on.
I don't think he did.
I think what you
get mixed up on here, in my opinion, is that when he had the ball and he moved forward from phase 2 into phase 3, he was running through to the left-hand side where he'd link with Jackson and play Jackson through further up the pitch. But that was when he was on the break with the ball. What we're talking about is a bit of both. Off the ball, but also on the ball, he was closer in the earlier phases to Caicedo. He was in the 10 role next to Gallagher up the pitch where Caicedo turned round 3 minutes.
And there's no one there.
And that was happening a lot in previous games. Like in the middle third, like Caicedo will pick up the ball and like he wouldn't be having to look for Enzo. Like Enzo will be coming to try and look for him to like show that I want the ball.
I agree with that. I agree with that. 100% agree with that. He wasn't having to have to look for him. He was basically coming deeper to get on the ball. So like giving him an option to pass it to. He wasn't just like camped out like, you know, near the 18 or something like that. That's 100% fact.
Yeah, and that's the point that I'm trying to certainly get across is that like in previous games you would see it where Caicedo pick it up and then Enzo's like between the lines and kind of stuck there, not really looking to drop. And I'm like, Enzo, your game is meant to be there, and clearly that's a tactical decision of the manager. So obviously look more like that. He just wanted to always kind of like show, which is again what Enzo should be doing. That's what he should be doing. Obviously, final third, you have license to crash the box, sometimes overlap if you want, link with the forwards, and even get into shooting positions, which he did. So that's great. Like Enzo is an all-round midfielder. He should be doing that. But obviously, in the middle third, give Caicedo that option always. Like that's what should always be the case.
Yeah.
The reason.
I'm gonna have to bounce because I'm gonna finish this video because I think that a lot of what I'm saying is gonna be perfectly illustrated from video. You guys will see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. How many times this happened where Caicedo would drop into the back line and orchestrate our first phase field up. And then as we moved up to the pitch, you see Enzo attacking the 18-yard box, making the runs, sometimes being the most advanced attacker. I'm just saying that happened more often than you guys think. Okay,
but that's what he does. That's what he does. That's what Enzo does.
So what changed then?
And a 4-2-3-1.
Enzo. This is what I'm saying. Enzo helps him. Like Jem has already said, Enzo initially needs to help with the build-up, because Caicedo, like I said, if he's being pressed by a team like a Liverpool, whatever, he will struggle. Yesterday, we had more control because Enzo was closer to him. But Enzo doesn't just help him there and then just stay there. Enzo always helps him. He secures the ball. He makes sure
there's a tactical tweak for sure.
And then he runs away. And then he goes away. That's what we need to do. Right, but what's been happening is hold on, bro. What's been happening is Enzo has been further up and not helping Caicedo and build up, and it has not been effective enough because Enzo is there to progress the ball from A to B. But when we've got the ball securely, Enzo will always progress further up, and that's when we go into a 4-3-3. But initially we're in a 4-2-3-1, and then we go into a 4-3-3, bro. That's what happens.
Yeah.
No,
we transition into it.
Say that again. Say that again,
bro. We mainly build in a. Yesterday was mainly building in a 4-2-3-1, right? In a 4-2-3-1 yesterday. That's what was mainly building in. And then we'll progressing into a 4-3-3. That's what we was doing majority of the game yesterday. You might be able to. Hold on, coach. You might be able to.
Let me finish. But you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to show you in many instances, many cases where we built out the back with Caicedo in the back line. So our first phase buildup was 4-3-3. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna finish this video and then I'll just post it to you guys. All right.
I don't get where he's going with it, Couch. Do I get what you're saying, and I agree with all what you say, but you're not.
You're just dismissing everything.
You just said it was 4-2-3-1. You just said it was 4-2-3-1.
That was the main shape and was building, bro. That was the main shape.
The main shape was a 4-2-3-1 and shifted to a 4-3-3 depending on what the buildup was and how the press of Aston Villa responded. That's the reality.
Okay.
All we're saying is that Enzo's position, rather than it being strictly as an 8 in phase 1,
right.
When Caicedo drops in deep to receive the ball from the defense, Enzo's position isn't of that strict 8 role, which we've seen under Wolves Liverpool. It's in more of a closer role to Caicedo. So he's dropped
they're closer. They're closer to each other.
Caicedo can receive the ball. That's all we're saying. So he's closer. Okay. So they're not like this. They're more like this.
So instead of like 10 to 15 yards, instead of like 10 to 15, so instead of like, but were they ever in a double pivot? Is what I'm asking you. Are they in a double pivot?
But you're just
now you're being
disingenuous.
No, I'm just asking you.
Because you're being disingenuous.
I'm asking you.
You are.
I'm asking you what you saw. Is it a double pivot or not?
It was closer to a 4-2-3-1 than a 4-3-3. If that's what you want to get, if that's what you want to get.
It was a hybrid system, if we're being completely honest here. It was in between the 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. But like, let's not.
Like part of this conversation, there's like a lot of teams that we would suggest play a 4-2-3-1. You can even say like an Arsenal, Man City, like at times play a 4-2-3-1. But in actually, like let's say last season with Arsenal, like Partey like is always going to be the deeper one than when it was Xhaka, right? But like you would still say that they're kind of like a 4-2-3-1 in a sense. But of course, that there's always that midfielder who's naturally the deeper one. And obviously for us, that was Caicedo. And obviously at times, like Couch is saying, he would drop between the centre backs and even be like part of a back three at times in the build-up. That doesn't mean we were always building with a back three. It just means that there's flexibility there. That's all it really means.
I was giving credit to Poch.
Yeah, no, I think everybody would obviously agree that there was just that a bit more flexibility there. Enzo would obviously spend more time collecting the ball off of Caicedo, which is obviously what we all want to see. So I think that's more of the case. Again, it's kind of semantics on between is it a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. I think that's just really semantics to be honest.
Yeah, literally, that's what it is. That's what it is.
What Couch is saying, right, is I actually agree with many parts of it. Did Caicedo drop into the middle of the centre backs to receive the ball and the full?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, 100%. But what he keeps ignoring is that Enzo's positioning wasn't as of what we've seen in the past couple of games where he was a further 8, strictly from when we grew up from phase 1. Now he was a lot more flexible, like we said, hybrid, moving closer to Caicedo and bring an option. So if he had to beat a man, he's up. Next option was Enzo to make the pass to. Enzo would turn around. He would either move forward with the ball. He would play the forward on the wings because they've held it wide. He's done it a number of times. Enzo. He got the ball from phase 2, pinged it over to there, and then moved forward up the pitch. But the big thing that people didn't see also with that yesterday was actually Enzo following us when we moved up the pitch rather than just sitting. And then there was this massive gap. There was moments. Enzo and Gallagher went forward and we were pressing and it was out on the wings. Caicedo was actually there with them in a line. It wasn't interplaying and moving up the pitch. They're doing more of this together. I'm not saying they're like this strictly, like, come on, we're kissing each other throughout the game. That's not the point what we're trying to get at. It's more of that they're going like this up the pitch together, if that makes sense, rather than that. And then
they're working as a pivot. They're literally working as a pivot. They're working as a duel. They're working as a pivot. That is a 4-2-3-1.
Just understanding
Caicedo's picking. Yes,
going like I don't know.
Because
just my last thing that I want to say on it, because I feel like eventually we're gonna have to move on from this because there's other things to talk about. But like ultimately, and I think David said it off the top, is that like Enzo was having more touches, and that's just the bottom line. We want Enzo to have more touches because he's our best player. He's the brain of the team, and he should have more touches. And that's pretty much just it. Yeah, that's just pretty much it. I feel like I didn't see the stats on it, but obviously I watched the game in full, like on replay. Like I could replay it. I saw Enzo have so many touches. I'm thinking, okay, I'm sure his average this game for touches was more than the touches he had this game was more than the average for the season. I'm very sure of that. So that's positive, and hopefully we continue to see that.
Oh right, okay. I'm gonna have a look at this heat map quickly.
Because I'm looking at the heat map as well.
What does that?
Because my thing is with this heat map, right? Like, I think we're having a small, like, nuanced argument. We're trying to argue whether you considered it a pivot or a single pivot. And the reality is, it was both, man. Like, you would have Caicedo sitting in the back, but the difference in this is the shape of the midfield and how we reacted to pressure, the press, and interplay. When we had interplay, that's where I truly thought it was a 4-2-3-1. Because instead of Caicedo sitting back more in the midfield, you would see Caicedo pressing up forward, interplaying in between Enzo and Gallagher. And it looked like Enzo and Caicedo were in a pivot. That's why a lot of people are saying a 4-2-3-1. Where I hear Couch, though, is that in reality, it's just the spacing. And that goes down to Poch making a tactical tweak.
So ultimately, we just all agree. But it kind of just sounded like Couch was dismissing all our points, basically.
But listen.
Molly, it hasn't changed. That's what he's saying. No. It's exactly the same as Wolves, exactly the same as Liverpool. How we played yesterday, the same formation as what we played. And I disagree, unfortunately.
We have not controlled games, bro. We have not controlled games. Even off the ball, we've been shocking because the structure has been shit. It's been shit. It's no surprise
we controlled that game 1-90.
It's no surprise that these lot were off the ball. They were switched on, like even the wingers, because the instructions yesterday were very clear. Right. But I've been saying for weeks, Jem, if you overcomplicate things with young players, they're gonna be confused, bro. You need to make it easy for them. And yesterday he made it easy.
Exactly. He simplified the game, and then the talent started to show. That's been my major point of the entire. Forget all the 4-3-3, 4-4-3, London Cowboy yeehaw. Look, the players understood what Poch asked of them yesterday, and they
100%.
executed to the utmost extent. That should be the point of the game.
It changed through game. We went it went from like a 4-4-2 off the ball to then a 4-3-3 on the counter to a 4-3-1 to a 4-4-2. It just kept changing, and I think that's the problem. We're finding bits where we see it. Couch is finding bits where Enzo's up there again on the counter when we're actually attacking, trying to get people in the box, which is what I saw yesterday. We done a lot better yesterday. People were getting in the box more, which was giving them problems.
Effective.
Well. It was effective, but it just flowed better. Let's just be serious. It just flowed better. It looked better to the eye, and they understood the instruction. The instruction yesterday was better than the instruction against Wolves and the instruction against Liverpool.
Against Liverpool, for sure.
There wasn't.
I was going to say
there wasn't working, and it worked yesterday. So he's done something different. You can't say it's the same because yesterday's performance, Midfield was heavily involved and Enzo was heavily involved against Wolves and Liverpool. Guess what? The midfield was non-existent, and he wasn't very involved. So
if you go check, if I check it right now, Jim, if I just go check how many touches Enzo had against Wolves in comparison to yesterday, it will be night and day, bruv. I ain't even got to check it to know. I've got eyes.
The eye test was there.
It will be night and day, and we had control. We had control, literally, of the game.
That's the main point,
fellas. We got to talk about the wingers.
We got to talk about the wingers. Was a clear old 4-4-3. I don't know why you guys are.
I'm not good.
But no, Cali.
Seriously, that is an older 1 decade 4-3-3. I know you guys are just, sometimes it was this, sometimes it was that. Maybe go watch some old games and you'll see exactly.
Yeah, the ref was part of the setup. You know what I mean? He was in the lineup.
I don't get how you guys have not seen how we played with Gallagher and Enzo in the past games and then compare it to exactly the same as what you saw yesterday.
Oh, I saw it. That's why I disagree.
The irony of it is, Jeb, the irony of it is this 4-3-3 that you're talking about. This 4-3. The irony of it is, Jim, every single game where we haven't had control of the ball is where we've been playing a 4-3-3, where literally Enzo Caicedo has been by himself further up the pitch. Yesterday, when he was dropping deep, he was almost right next to Disasi and Badiashile, right? That's not a clear 4-3-3. You can see there that he was trying to build from the back, and Enzo was closer. That was a 4-2-3-1. They were playing as a pivot, as a couple over there, right? The games where we haven't had control has been a clear 4-3-3, because when you look at the starting positions Enzo and Gallagher take up, they're further away from Caicedo. Yesterday they weren't, bro. So you can't try and change it now and say that's a 4-3-3. Like, it was a blend of both. Let's move on, man.
We need to talk about the wingers.
You know why it's such a debate? Hold on, why it's such a debate is that 4-3-3, there was many forms of it. That's why you start to see it was very fluent. That's why you start to say, oh, well, it was something like this, something like that. Do you know, it wasn't so structured, and that's what, and it came from it was Dutch football, so that's why it was so fluent. That's why until Mourinho brought in the 4-2-3-1, and that's why it did so well, which that countered that. That's why that's why it's such a debate on what it was. We're so used to structure that you guys forgot how the old 4-3-3, and there was many forms of it, right? Used to be
many forms.
But that was clearly
what you're basically saying is there's other formations. It's not there's many forms of a 4-3-3. There's many other formations, right? What I'm actually trying to what you're saying. That's basically what.
What I'm actually trying to say. What I'm actually trying to say is that people had different roles on priority, or who goes up, or who goes up. If it's 5 in attack, it was why you guys are complaining on formation. It was individual roles in the midfield. Right? Who goes up with who stays back when he goes up, who covers for who, and it was a bit more individual.
But that's nuance. That's what we're saying.
That's why you guys that's why you guys there is no proper number. That's why you guys are debating, right?
No, the only other crazy thing is
wait, listen. Obviously, the player just came in now, in it. So obviously, like, he was hearing us have the conversation, but obviously we had the conversation for like a good 45 minutes. Like you said, Kelly, you want to talk about the wingers.
Yeah,
I want to talk about the best. I want to talk about for me the best left winger at the club right now, and that's Nicholas Jackson, right? And listen,
yes, sir.
Gem's favorite player, of course, right? We can obviously see he isn't a natural striker, but to be fair, did score a header, a well-placed header. I think our team works best when he's left wing. Simple as that. I think obviously naturally we want to move to a lineup where Nkunku's our striker and we have Nico Structure. When they obviously combine, but again, Nico being the left winger works good because he has the work rate to work off the ball. Again, like Couch was even mentioned earlier, filling at times even at left back for Chilwell, having that tactical understanding to do that. Holds up the ball well. Again, it's not grenade ball like we were seeing with Chilwell and Raz, where the left wing in back-to-back games against Poole and Wolves was shocking. That was shocking grenade football. With Nicholas Jackson, there's better ball retention. He's great. He's better at riding challenges. The decision making in the final third is good. It can be better, but it is good. But it also did lead to our first goal where he drove up the left, got into none, who cut it back to Gallagher. Good finish. And again, for all the talk of the midfield, it doesn't really matter because we've seen us have good midfield performances before in the season, but the final third just isn't clinical, and we then lose the game. So ultimately, you have to big up the attack for actually putting the ball in the back of the net. Jackson was a big part of that, and for me, I want to see him continue to start games at left wing. Raz, you can hold bench. Modric, you can get sold in the summer for me, and that's it.
You know what I talk about as well.
1,000%.
I want to talk about Jim, real quick, bro. I want to talk about the other side, bro. The right wing. My boy Madueke. My boy Noni, because last season, bro, I tweeted I've got a lot of time for Madueke, because this is a type of winger that I grew up on. A winger that's direct, a winger that likes to take on his man. And one of the main things I spoke about last season with him was that one-on-one, bro, he's dangerous, but his end product has not been good enough. And obviously he's young, it's going to improve. But this year, bro, I can't lie. I'm seeing this guy making better decisions. I'm seeing him whipping in crosses that actually get into our players. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing him actually looking up when he beats a man and trying to link up with other players. He's definitely improved because last year, bro, he just kept running into blind alleys. Like he'll do something well, but then he'll just run into a blind alley and just get tackled. Do you know what I mean? It's like, bro, okay, cool. You're gonna beat your man, but what's coming after that? There's no end product. But now I'm actually seeing a player that's getting better, bro. He's actually improving. Do you know what I mean? He needs to keep playing.
100%. Listen, watching the game yesterday, like my only disappointment with watching Noni was that he wasn't in Ivory Coast playing for Nigeria. Like that was my only disappointment because again, he could have easily been doing that. But listen, he's here. He's English, whatever. That's cool. But he actually performed well, and I'll give him credit because again, I think he's doing well. And listen, I've been critical of the Modric and Madueke signing, right? I don't think they're top level wingers, and they have to develop a lot. They're going to perform at this level for us, but he's showing certainly more signs of improvement than Modric, and he offered quite a bit yesterday. And even tracking back, which obviously was a criticism even under Potter, where I remember there was a game against West Ham, and I think Emerson scored at the back post.
He didn't track back. Yeah.
And basically, the point is that he's been tracking back a lot better this season, and he was hoping Augusto because that was part of their game plan. And I watched the game back, and I could see that Aston Villa's game plan really was to get McGinn the ball in the pockets. Obviously, he uses his again, no, it's not a posting in it, but he literally uses his back to like back off the defenders so that he can pin them and then play the overlap to Moreno. And Madueke more often than not was switched onto that and actually tracking the runner and not letting Gusto get double teamed there. So that was good. And in the final third, the shooting does leave a little bit to be desired at times. I think he can develop that whip shot with his left foot a bit better. But overall, he's a threat. He's a constant threat in a game. He's retaining the ball well enough, so he's not just constantly turning it over. So that's good. And for me, listen, him as well. He can also continue to start games. I think he deserves a run of games in the team. And yeah, I like what I'm seeing with Noni. So he needs to continue progressing for sure. He needs to continue.
Will Poch start the same system is obviously the question going into Monday. Will he go in with that? I think he should try and stick to it and, show us a bit of consistency, let the players perform, hopefully on a consistent basis as well. And then try and grow into that with a Madueke. Start Madueke and Jackson. You don't need Sterling to start.
I think it's obvious what we should do because, again, Villa obviously play the same way. Like, they're very aggressive and they play they kind of play aggressive to us. So maybe Gallagher has his uses in terms of winning that midfield battle because again they have their midfield four with obviously McGinn, Tielemans. You did have a poor game. Maybe Couch is playing about they didn't press well. Maybe I think they tried to press. It's just Tielemans isn't that athletic, right? So we did well playing through them. But obviously Palace, we know they're going to set up in the low block. Like, so is Gallagher really needed? No, I think you put Palmer for and obviously just to your point earlier that you actually made as well, Jim, is that bringing Palmer into Gallagher's position, him operating in those pockets with Caicedo and Enzo in that form, that's going to be amazing to watch. And then you have Nkunku up top.
Imagine Nkunku at the end.
That is serious, bruv.
When you put Nkunku there and Nkunku's doing what he's doing up there and he's fit and you're creating for him, you've got your killer who's taking the chances up front, Jackson alternating, Palmer, Enzo and Caicedo just doing their thing in the middle. It could really work beautiful. I'm not lying. But
just my last thing on this. Just my last thing on this is that obviously as good as Gallagher was yesterday, and obviously the goal was great and all of that, there were still moments in the pockets where he would pick it up and he would be okay, not great, but like there's moments where I'm looking at it, like, if that's Palmer receiving it there, so many more avenues are being created. So many more. And we're going to need that against low blocks, for sure.
Yep. The two things that I wanted to just quickly bring up is you mentioned Jackson playing off the left. And I think from a deeper role, we can all admit that he's a lot more involved. He's a lot more better. He can make his runs better. He's actually more effective arriving in the box in that way as well. He carries the ball better. And when we go to play balls out now, we can actually play it to him because he's big enough to like flick it on or hold it off, and it helps.
Or win a foul.
Have to clear. Do you know what I mean? As before, when at Liverpool, when we was at Ugenham, we had no one to really hold it up there. And with Jackson playing off the left and now having to maybe kick balls sometimes rather than play out, you've got that option where he can hold up and play. The only thing with Jackson that I need to see playing off the left is against low blocks. That's all. I need to see how he operates in tight spaces, trying to open up the play off the left, get balls in. You know, like I need to see. That's the only thing I need to see. But moving away from him very quickly, I want to big up my guy who I wanted, and I think most of you guys here wanted for a while, Malo Gusto, because yesterday he was unbelievable. Yesterday,
big baller, bro.
When he plays, man. Like he is a serious
strength and pace, man.
Strength, pace. You know, at one point they had a corner. He wins the ball, and he's got, I think, what's his name on him? One of the centre backs, and he's just holding.
And he pushed him off.
Oh yeah, it's when we were transitioning into attack.
It's the Paris. It's the Paris.
He did it twice, you know. One by the.
I'm saying it's the
one
Paris,
by the manager side and one on the left.
You see them French guys that come from the hood, Jeb. This is how they bang ball, you know. This guy used to play. I know this guy used to play football in cage, bruv. I know that, bruv. That's how he plays.
Malo Gusto, when you look at his performance yesterday, and look, we can't forget the Wolves. He was poor against Wolves. I think he could even probably tell you himself that he needs to sort that out. He can't perform like that. But when he performs, we are a better team off the right because what he does so well, not only defensively do I think he's actually very good, he's reading the game better, is what I've noticed. So he's getting up the pitch at the right times. He's supporting Madueke, making the overruns and stuff. And like he's crossed yesterday, and I always criticize him about his crossing because I think his crossing's a little bit poor to his standing. I think, look, well, he's still young, he can work on that. But yesterday, he's crossing to Jackson was pinpoint, and all day he for me in his own way. I know he's not a leader, but he plays with that. Like he can, you know, get the team going. Do you know what I mean?
He plays with fire.
He leads by example. He leads by example.
Yeah,
he leads by example. He's someone that you could just look at and say, "Hey, go play your game. You ain't gonna worry about him too much. Just go do your thing. That's it. Go do your thing."
He has fight. He has fight. Which is again, I don't think you're a leader if you just show fight, but like he has fight, which again is good. You need that in the team. You need that spirit in the team.
Tenacity.
Sure. Yeah. And one thing I'm saying is, you've touched up on a good point. You touched up on a good point, yeah. Because if you guys remember, he got 2 assists against Luton, yeah, for the crosses. But then after that, when I saw him in the final third, you know, he would take a little bit too long to whip it. He would see the pass, but he wouldn't do it. Or if he did whip it, it was just a kind of a meaty cross. But he's actually improved his crossing, in my opinion. I think he's timing it better now. He's whipping it better now as well. He puts in a lot of dangerous
assist
crosses.
to Broyer against Preston, I think it was. That was the opening goal as well.
That was another one. That was another assist, and that's a big change in comparison to what I was seeing at the start of the season. Because the main thing that I was saying was Reece James has to come back in because offensively, we missed those whips. You know, Reece James's crosses. Yeah, you missed them. But that's the little thing that I was speaking about with Gusto. But now, bro, the guy seemed. I'm not going over the top here, but his crossing's improving week by week. Do you know what I mean? When every time I see him crossing it in now, it's getting better. So listen, 20 years old, man. We paid what 30 million for this guy?
What a
crazy man!
James is crazy.
And he's done a lot compared to what I know I shouldn't compare, but like he's doing quite a bit compared to what James was doing around his age. He's got a very high ceiling, Gusto has.
And for me, listen, I feel like I think that's our best left back at the club for me. I feel like once James comes back in, you have to put him there because we spent like 120 million on Cucurella and Chilwell combined, and it's not good enough. Between the both of them is poor. For me, I feel like at that point, you trust one of the younger guys, and obviously we had Lewis Hall and Maatsen, who I think you could have trusted with more minutes. Both of them weren't trusted. It is what it is. But now people are saying, "Oh, no, let's go spend another 50 million on a new left back," and I'm like, we could do that, but I don't like. It's just a lot of money to invest on one position. Where for me, Malo Gusto is so good that even if James comes back, it's kind of hard to see him be dropped. But you just move him to the left, and off the left, you can see that he can work. He can absolutely work off the left.
To me, it's like we don't have to overload James. You know what I mean? We could balance it out with Malo Gusto and Reece James. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is very true. The ones that have actually been some of our best players.
I have a feeling we might see one game where James plays as the right centre back and then him as the right back.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been so long since I've seen James right center back.
Just going on to this comment here, Petrovic, Mallow, Gusto, Palmer, Jackson, all these players are under 100 million combined. These have been some of our best signings, really, when you think about it.
Nah, but they hate the board, Jem. There's no in between. The board did all shit signings. We got all shit signings. All the players are shit.
And it's
not the manager. Wait, no. This is what I was waiting. It's not the manager, Jem. Yesterday was an example that it was the players the whole time. The manager's been in the clear.
And Jeb, this is why for me, as much as Win Stanley and what's his name, what's our guy's name? Stewart. Yeah, Win Stanley and Stewart. Yeah, Win Stanley and Stewart. Yeah, as much as the answers like they need to answer for a lot, they have found some gems, man. At the same time, they've found. I've got to be balanced on my take, innit? They've gone too much with the inexperience, but guys like Gusto, you know what I mean? Guys like Petrovic, these are some good finds. Do you know what I'm saying? So they just need to, if they're going to stay, they need to make sure that they stop this bringing in young players, bringing some experience.
Oh, they still got to fix up. Yeah, they got to fix up, though.
They need to fix up because I don't see them getting sacked. As much as people want them out of here, I don't see them getting sacked. But
if the manager didn't get sacked,
they can rectify mistakes.
Are you guys going to be gassed for one game? Are you guys going to be gassed up for one game? It's going to be one good game.
What the hell? No,
sounds a little
about the whole season, bro. We're talking about Petrovic. Well, since Petrovic has come in, everyone here, I'm sure, can agree that he's our number one. Like Sanchez doesn't come back in for me.
Gas, mate. Trust me.
Gusto's been good.
A very
Gusto's
good,
been good all
easy
season. Like,
counter argument.
Don't say distribution.
To all the bad transfers we've made as well, but no one can be actually. Hold on. No one can be actually seen if they're worth it or not till maybe next season, maybe something.
Oh, let's not do this, man. Why do people
let's not
like
do
to
that.
do this, man?
This is the problem that
The players haven't been good enough, yeah?
this is the problem that I've been saying, bro. How can I properly analyze a young team as they're not put in the right environment to strive? How can you come to a conclusion? And then when you see that you have a basic proper setup yesterday, you've seen quality from the young players. This is the problem that I have. Like,
I agree.
What's the right environment, Harry?
Putting them in the right positions.
Having all right. You say injuries, whatever, right?
You guys have really dumbed down these players, yeah. You guys have said, you guys made it out. You know all your terminology that you're using, which is kind of annoying, right? And I'm actually starting to crack. Is very FIFA based.
Understand my point,
right? You got to put that player, or he loses states. No, a player is at that level. A player knows how to play, right?
This is how I know.
To a degree, it doesn't matter what position they're in. They can play to a degree, yeah. Even when they're in the position, right? Doesn't matter what role they're given. You still do a certain level of job. If these players if you've dumbed down these players and you give them so much of a pass, and you dismiss everything because they've played a little bit out of what they want to do, right? Then that's why you keep blaming Poch and everything. Even the players
No, but declare. Hold on. I could just.
There's a lot of players that never played their preferred position and did really well.
Let Javi finish his point. Let Javi finish his point.
You never let me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Javi. There you go.
You're not listening. You talking to get your point across because you never let me finish.
I was just making sure you didn't.
This is why I'm trying to say that Poch has to blame. Because he's not giving them an environment to succeed first. At least get proper. You seen yesterday at the beginning of the season, right? We still had Ben Chilwell. After the Liverpool game, we're still playing him a left winger when we have natural wingers, and we're going up against West Ham playing 3 center backs for what? Going up against the Nottingham Forest playing 3 center backs for what? Give us more options overlapping and having wingers. It's simple changes like that he's shown in this game, having players more connected, forming partnerships. Oh, like basic shit, having our midfield connected, having our left winger combined with our left back, having our right winger combined with our left back. You've seen that. Then if Poch does the basic stuff right, then you can come to a conclusion on these players. But you can't say young players who have no experience navigating a tough situation like this. You're automatically saying, yeah, they're at fault. There's the blame. If Poch is giving them proper setup and they're doing what they need to do, then the board doesn't get that much blame. The board is getting this much blame because Poch is not doing what he needs to do. And the main reason why this board is getting fucked up because it's saying 2 managers in a row. This is the big thing because we got Potter and now we're getting it wrong with Poch. So Poch, we can't just let Poch off the hook.
And Shavi, let me add to your point as well. Let me add to your point. Hold on,
but you also proved my point that how much you dumped the players down there. If the players play why is it if they play left wing and do the overlap?
Declared, you can't put a left back in striker. Declared, you can't put a left back in striker. It doesn't work.
Let me just
You can put a defender in any position in the back line. You can put them in it. What I'm saying that it doesn't. If you don't play your preferred role in your talent, no, but you've kind of really dumbed it down. You've actually made $100 million player. Right?
Declared, can I ask you a question?
They're not $100 million players.
Declared. Right now,
you made talent.
I literally feel
you really dumbed down talent to me.
I literally feel like I'm speaking to a rival right now because you.
I literally feel like I'm talking to FIFA players.
Let him finish.
Right? So please a bit more in depth for me. Right?
What you're saying.
We were being in depth the whole show, bro.
What you're saying, I at least I understand what you're saying to an extent. But in this context that we're in right now, like Javi just said, with the young players that we've got, everyone can see that our team is the youngest team in the league. That's number one. Yeah, we haven't even got a foundation as of yet, right? This isn't like Man City where you're putting in a few young players in positions that they're not used to in a team that's already got a structure, like an Arsenal, like a Man City, like a Liverpool. Yeah. That's completely different. Yeah. That's when you can do that, right? But in a team that is young, with hardly any experience in there, and you're starting from scratch, you can't make it harder for you're making it harder for these guys by playing them out of position. Yes, I agree. Footballers, whatever, at this level should be able to do a different role here and there, whatever. But unfortunately, not every single player
in this modern era.
Not every single player is as versatile as you want them to be, right? Ideally, in an ideal world, I would love for Levi Colwill to be able to play at left back and be able to do a good job, a good job like Gusto does at fullback. I would love that, but in reality, that is not the case. These are young players, right? They need to learn their trade in their favorite position, in their best position for now, right? When you start to bring in more experience and you've actually got a system, then you can start to tweak things a little bit if needs be, because they understand the fundamentals and they've already got relationships built. But when you're trying to build relationships, how are you trying to make it hard for them? How?
Yeah, basic chemistry is not established first, bro.
Can I come in?
That's a very...
I got a few points. Let me come in before
you're taking away the context, bro. You're taking away the context.
I agree with majority of what you said there, right? The only thing that you've got the other way around is that the older players get stuck in their ways. They're the players that once they're used to something, they're hard. These younger players, right? They're the ones that can be fluid and versatile, and they're the ones hungry. They should be hungry, and I've said this many times, to take that position. You guys mentioned Gusto, a very good example of someone that's taking that position, and we're not even thinking about Reece James anymore, right? I need that from more players, and the ones that didn't even cost that much, right? To fight for more. They're the ones that you're not catering for them for the position. You guys said you want a style of play, right? But we got all these different players that weren't picked for a style of play. They have to get better. Like I was about to say, get better, not get better, but they have to position themselves, right, and fight and play that role. There's a lot of players have done that in the past. If there's a role up for grabs, learn that role. Improve in that role and play it. So we play as a team. You want a style of play? When you want a style of play, right? Not everyone plays their favorite position, right? Some of the best players get to do what they want, right? But there's a lot of players that didn't.
Hold on,
and look in the past. You can go back in the past.
I don't even know
every
what
Chelsea
you're saying,
team.
I can't even lie. I don't even know.
Nah, I got you. Declared. Look. I'm gonna simplify this. I'm gonna simplify this really quickly. Declared is essentially saying, you're on the player agenda side, right? That is the players that are not performing to the standard that it's up to them to adapt and deal with the adversity. Just yes or no really quick before I reply. That's what you're saying, Declared?
Somewhat, yeah.
Oh, okay. So here's my thing, right? You say somewhat. So I'm going to say somewhat. So somewhat, if that is the case, here is my case. If I am a 20-year-old footballer, right? I am in the hardest league in the world. This means everybody else around me is either at the same level or in reality better than me, right? My best position is the left back. But my manager decides to play me in midfield. I get ran through like a prostitute. Why is that? Because I'm still a young player. I haven't learned my skills the best way. I mean, I'm not using my skills to the best ability yet. I'm not adapted to the system yet. Because remember, Poch's system is brand new. So why would you play that player out of position when you can put them in the better position and then they adapt to the system better, which is exactly what happened yesterday. So you can have the player part, which is
example,
fine.
That example, I agree, right? When you have established yourself in that position, no one in this team has been playing at a level.
But why can't they? There's no consistency declared. That's my point. There's no consistency.
Bro, if you perform, in that position, you're going to be undroppable. There are a few positions that players are undroppable. Right now, Palmer, he's undroppable. He's playing multiple rows. He's undroppable, right? If Gusto keeps playing, he's always going to play right back. He's undroppable, right? Unless there needs to be an emergency, due to injuries, whatnot.
But would you put Gusto in center back? That's my point.
Hold on. What happens is, and what you've seen in many teams, and many Chelsea teams, is that you got 5 players, 7 players, undroppable, and they play their best position. Everyone else has to lift up, like Moses had to play right wing back, stuff like that, right? That's not his best role. But you want to be in the team.
Nah, that's different. No, we gotta move on. That's different.
This is where you've done yourself, because basically what you're arguing right now is the point that I made initially. Like a Man City, they have a blend of inexperience and a blend of young players. Like when Rico Lewis came into the team last season, they had him playing at fullback, and then he was inverting into the midfield, right? But you could see that this was a young player that's still learning his way. But guess what? He had experienced guys around him to help him, right? When he was making mistakes.
And the system that was there for a while.
Exactly. And the system was already built. So it was easier for him to get away with playing in a role that he's not that comfortable in, if that makes sense, right? But you're basically trying to say it doesn't matter that these guys are all an average age of 22. Yeah, it doesn't matter that some of these guys have never played in the Prem before. It doesn't matter that we're basically playing with a whole brand new team. They should just be able to just come in and perform because they're playing at this level. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry, it does not work like that. These guys
what I'm actually saying,
and they need to be set up correctly to play.
I agree. I think you maybe misunderstood my point. Actually, what I'm saying is that they've come in. They're young players, right? We paid heaps of money for them, but none of them have a solidified position. Right, we've got a new player. There's no experienced people to show you the ropes. Nothing. We got positions up for grabs. Is what I'm saying. All positions are up for grabs. Right. No one's solidified them. No one's taken a position. This is my position. This is my best to play. No one's proven it to a level that they're undroppable and no one can take their spot. That's why everyone's getting shifted around. And that's what I'm saying. Is that the environment's there for young players to prove themselves? Hold on. There is an environment there, Javi, right? For players to prove themselves, right? You got to prove yourself to be undroppable in that role, right? And that's when all that argument about you're playing the preferred position. No, there's a style of play there. There's a certain way you want to play, right? There's a certain role there. If we change managers, yes, then the roles change and that situation stays the same, right? But the roles change and what's up for grabs, right? There's going to be certain players that are undroppable because they've solidified they're that good in that position that they can't be dropped or moved, right? Everyone else has to fill in, right? Because this team wasn't bought for a certain way of playing. You got a random talent, right? That's why it's going to be mix and match, right? The people that really want to play their preferred position have to perform to a level, right, that they stay in those roles. Then everyone else is a makeshift, or they get transferred, or someone else comes in. That's usually the process, right? But they can show, regardless of the style of play of the role, you have to perform. You have to consistently perform, and that's where the players are lacking. That's the fault. Poch can take a lot of the blames, but this is where I put the blame on a lot of the players because they haven't been performing consistently.
So declare. What's the point of us speaking about the game tactically then, if you can't acknowledge what this guy's been doing tactically to not help these players? What's the point of us speaking about it tactically? Because everything that you're saying
there's a massive point because that is another.
You should be able to perform. I'm sorry,
it goes hand in hand, Don. It goes hand in hand, Don, because
poor way of
because I'm so sorry, if a team doesn't perform tactically, right, you'll never say what the tactics were, right? These players could have deleted other teams' tactics and then goes, here, look, we know what they're going to do, right? And if they can't perform it, right, you'll never know that we had the perfect game plan.
Declared, you're just saying a whole lot of, I don't know what's even going on here, but let me just say something, yeah. When we had Di Matteo come in when he came in that season, yeah, we had a team of experienced men Yeah, majority of them were leaders in that team. Yeah, they didn't even need my man. They knew what they were doing. These lot are young and need to be nurtured. And you're just looking at it like, right, these are playing for Chelsea. They should be able to do the job. Football does not work like that.
Frank Lampard regions, eh?
Football.
That's not what I said. Yeah.
Declare.
You're basically saying that, bro. Stop lying.
That's what you're saying, bro. Football does not work like that. These men are young and they need to be nurtured. And that is one of the main reasons why I said Pochettino will be the best guy for the job, because of his record of working with young players.
Nurtured. Right? Come on, but they're at a level.
Yeah,
now,
I'm gone.
Right?
I'm gone. In a bit, you man.
I need to go.
I gotta go.
Before you obviously go, Jim, I just want to make one point. Obviously, not with that discussion. That discussion was going on around. Respectfully. Obviously, and then this isn't me to say that I was right about Poch and all of that. Like, the jury's still firmly out on Poch. My only thing was obviously why I wanted him to give at least one more game after the Wolves debacle was that again that obviously created crisis talks. We could obviously see that between obviously Poch and the players, obviously the board. Like, there were so many conversations to be had, and I'm sure they're backing Poch. I feel like there isn't that much pressure on his job, but certainly when the whole country is talking about, are you good enough for this club and all of this, like, there's pressure that mounts from that. And I want to see the reaction. I want to see if he was going to change things drastically tactically. I was going to see if he's going to be able to galvanize these players to perform with more spirit. And we certainly saw the latter. In terms of the former, there was a couple of tweaks, like you mentioned. It wasn't like a new formation or anything crazy, but obviously Enzo dropped a bit deeper, and it was better. And that's what we saw. It was better. Poch got more out of the players, and it was a good response from the players. We saw, obviously, were clearly emotionally charged to perform. Like, we saw it with Enzo's celebration. We saw it just in general. Like, there was a lot riding on this game for the players.
Yeah.
What's now is key is if Poch can keep that motivation going into the following games, because I'm sure the shape will probably stay the same, or at least be similar. Ultimately just gonna see if Poch game by game can keep these players playing at that intensity and with that urgency, because we weren't seeing that in a lot of games recently. And that's as much as players weren't performing. Yeah. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just to say, finish off, mate. Go on, finish off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, like, again, Poch just needs to be able to build that. Like, he needs to be able to get that on a weekly basis and get the players playing with that fire, because we see other coaches do that with players. Again, not to harp on too much. My point earlier with that, the player that all these guys were making, like, clearly we're having nuanced discussions. We're not just looking at it like a FIFA kind of thing where, why can't he play in that position? Or chemistry, has he got a 33 chemistry and all this nonsense? No, we weren't doing that. We were having very nuanced discussions. But the point is that can the manager coach not just the system, but also coach them as men, as young men, but as men in playing in the Premier League to perform at their best level? Can he keep them motivated? And then also in games, can he change it, whether we're subs or just tactically? Can he get them to improve in a game and manage it?
Well,
that's all we're saying.
You look at what we got going.
Can I add, Jen, to that?
Go on, Jen.
I said, this is why you can't just let Poch get off the hook with just doing the bit, like not even doing the bare minimum. Pressure, I don't care what anybody says, pressure had a big part to why we played the way we played.
100%. 100.
Because he knew he was under pressure to get a result. He had to make sure he was locked in, and he had to translate to his players. Everybody was feeling the pressure from us from the top down. They knew this was a big game. They knew it was going to go. If this went left, it was going to go all the way left. So just like a player, if you don't have that competition and you know you can't be replaced, like you know you're not going to replace, there's naturally going to be complacency there. Nobody's upholding you to a standard that you have to perform at. Poch have to hold him to a bare minimum standard for him to perform at. We can't let him off the hook. And this is what I've been saying all season. He can't just like people just saying, "Oh, you guys can't stomach a rebuild." That's not true. We can't stomach the bare minimum. If we see that the basics are there, I'm sure fans will not be complaining. If they're fighting like that, if they're staying to connect. Sorry, Jim. Yeah.
No, 100%. Keep going, man. I agree with you. I was just saying.
100%. If they're staying connected, if they're fighting together, if you see what he's trying to, of course, we're not gonna win every game. Like, you know what I mean? There's gonna be times where we're gonna, but these blips are more frequent than they are not.
Basically, what you're saying, it's the way we're losing games, isn't it? It's
the way we're losing. It's just like we're lying down. You can't tell people, "Oh, just support this process and wait for it." That's abuse to me without seeing anything. That's like somebody.
And listen, we've been battered by Newcastle United.
I'm gonna stop. Just believe me, without showing any respect.
I agree with you, Jamie.
Yeah. No, listen, that was all facts. And again, just to add to the point that you're saying, obviously.
Forward, can I ask
you go, Declan. You go.
as a question for you guys, and it'll probably
quick,
be whatever you're going to say.
Go. Be quick.
Where you going, Joe?
I need to go, bro. It's over 2 hours in. I need to go.
What's the question, bro?
I feel like do you guys feel like the players turned up more yesterday rather than some kind of tactical,
Yeah, that's what we were saying the whole stream, bro. That obviously there was a small change in the tactics, but obviously the players did turn up.
I can say that they definitely have, because I don't know.
The tactics certainly helped. Like, it was big, but obviously the players were clearly fired up for the game. No doubt, the players were fired up, and they obviously executed. And obviously in the final third, we did take our chances as well, which is a big thing.
Running, like losing those second balls is a matter of you wanting to be there. Like like making that extra effort to be like, I gotta go fight for my teammate. He needs help. Let me go back him up. It's those fundamentals, bro.
Yeah, facts.
Yep.
Facts. Listen.
Yeah, the reason I asked was like I think that when you guys talked about the pressure, the pressure was more. The talk was about Pochettino, and everyone was saying he's a dead man walking, sacked. We're all waiting for the sack. Club statement. Everyone posted up club statement, and I hope when I saw this game, because I had that ill feeling too, right? That this was one of those games that when I used to see the game that made Potter go and Mourinho and just that game that where the players have enough and they just down tool on purpose and it's just that one game that everyone had enough and then you see a sacking come, right? And that's what I thought was going to happen too. But they all fired up, and if they fired up for the manager, right? I'm actually glad, regardless of what you think of the manager. I was with you guys too. It's probably not good enough, but that response to fight for that, then I hope it's a good turning point. If it all, because tactically it was very similar to what we've done, yeah. But I've been onto the players' case as well, and they actually started to perform, and I hope they just take it into the next game, because we're only one game from another crisis, from being back last week, Wolves game.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying.
So,
we want to see.
Sorry, forward.
That's all right. I mean, we want to see the consistency moving forward now. It's all good winning the way that we did yesterday, and the players can show that they can put a performance in. The next question really is Poch going to maintain the current system? Is he going to maintain the same instructions and all this stuff that we need to see? And then with that, will the players then be able to implement and play at the levels that they had done against Aston Villa? And listen, look, we're going to, even if he does do that and we come up against teams where we're maybe not firing as well and whatever, the benefit now that he has more that he didn't have a couple of months ago for me is he actually has a bench. So, use your bench if you have to, that's what your bench is there for. If things ain't working with a specific player, say Jackson's struggling one game, or I don't know, or Madueke is or something, just change the player and go with, go with the system, stick with the system and keep going, and just hope that it, they can find some consistency in themselves, because they're going to have hiccups. I don't mind Chelsea losing games, by the way. It's how we lose games. If we play like we did yesterday and we lose 1-0 and we still lost 1-0, yeah, all right, it would have been, really annoying again on the back of it and whatever, and I know we need to win it. But if we perform to that level, but we just, again, maybe we're missing chances and Nkunku comes on a bit too late and whatever, like, at least we could say moving forward, we're seeing a performance, right? We're seeing what he's trying to do. They're playing, they dominated, they tried, but they just didn't, they just couldn't finish it in the final third. And that's my point. Like, that will happen. But now we've got Nkunku back, we have to find a way to fit him in the team for me, so that when we have them moments where that happens, we at least have a killer on the pitch that will, in my opinion, will take one or two of the chances that will land in front of him a lot more frequent than what we've seen in the past. And that's going to be the big difference. But we're at quarterfinals against Leeds. We're at a final against Liverpool. We're doing all right so far in these cup tournaments, not going to lie. We'll see what happens. It's just about our Premier League performances and trying to find some consistency in there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Monday, we see sort of the same sort of lineup that we push forward, and we show the same intensity and the same way of playing. And we'll probably do like a match preview or something for that, maybe.
Yeah, listen, big up Jim, obviously, for the consistent shows. Obviously, we're giving the guys 2 hours. So big up everybody in the chat. Also, make sure you drop a like on all of that. Maybe this discussion will continue in the chat, because I feel there's maybe still more to be said. But obviously, let's let Jem go in it, because even I got to go as well, to be fair.
Yeah. See you later on. I'll be back again very, very soon. Leave us a comment in the boxes below. Peace out, guys. Peace out.
Love, man. Love.